And welcome back, everybody, to the Allen Event Center here for the Dallas homestand weekend. It's a beautiful day outside, so what better day to get inside an arena and play some Overwatch. I'm Mitch Leslie here with Matt Morello, and we have a stacked schedule of matches here for you today. It will be our last day here at the Dallas homestand weekend, and you better believe it's going to be the best one.
Oh yeah, I mean today we have a packed schedule full of awesome matches. I think this one, to kick things off, a lot of people probably don't realize these two teams are very close in the Stage 2 standings.
But today, of course, the Chengdu Hunters and the London Spitfire will go head-to-head in Game 2. Seoul will go up against Valiant, and then the last match of the day will be the battle for Texas. The Outlaws against the Fuel, with Dallas looking for their first win in that particular derby. But first will be the Hangzhou Spark going up against the Paris Eternal here, man.
Yeah, you know, the Spark have been very good as of late. They've really started to figure out a play style. You see where they sit 8th place right now. They're just behind the Dallas Fuel in terms of map count. You see the Paris Eternal as well, sitting at 2 and 3. We've kind of like really forgotten about them this stage. They're still in the playoff hunt.
Absolutely. They do go up against Toronto, I think, after this one, as you can see. So a win here is going to be very important. They're 5 and 7, only 2 wins. 4 losses, Matt, will not be enough to get them into the Stage 2 playoffs, so they cannot really afford to drop any of these next 2 games.
Yeah, you know, the 4-0 loss to the Hunters in the Spitfire could really hurt them in the end in terms of map differential. They lose that series against the Fuel, and you see the Spark. You know, they have the Paris match here, and then they have the Dynasty to end things out. But you know, that 4-0 against the Shock, it's a loss, obviously, in a big way, but they played very well against the Shock. They thought that match was much closer. You see some other good wins there for the stage. So I think if you see like the Spark win this match, you go up against Seoul Dynasty, you have a decent chance of making the stage playoff.
Yeah, and that match might at least be a play-in. You know, teams that go 4 and 3 over a stage, it can depend on their map differential. I think Hangzhou are currently a -6, so they do need to recoup a little bit of that map, or the maps that they have lost. In a lot of those games that they've failed to win, they've been behind by quite a few maps. That's something they want to fix. They want to remedy that one here, and they want to begin it with a strong showing today. So, Allen Event Center, let's make some noise and welcome to the stage, the Hangzhou Spark.
I think you better bow down.
This roster, Matt, starting to incorporate Crystal much more. We saw him yesterday. We've seen him, you know, sort of thrown in for maps 1 and 4, but now he seems to be a bit more of a consistent feature in his lineup.
Which makes a ton of sense. He's been a great performer in the matches that we've seen him in. Godsby as well, you know, Ushne, what he can do in the main tank role. I think this team, when they keep playing that aggressive play style they've shown us over the last few games, you see good things starting to happen, and I think they keep playing that way. I think this is a team, you know, they may not make the Stage 2 playoffs, could fall a little bit short, but I think towards the end of our season could be one of the stronger teams.
And now to welcome their opponents to the stage, let there be lights for the Paris Eternal. This was a team that came into the Overwatch League with great expectations. We knew they'd play a very tank support-focused setup. Stage 2 has seen them play a little bit more of a varied approach to the game, unlike the Spark, who have kind of gone back to playing a 3-3 style.
I mean, where a lot of teams have gone back to playing 3-3, I would say the Paris Eternal and the Chengdu Hunters are the 2 teams that have played the least amount of it. And I think when you see what Paris is, they have, you know, Shadowburn soon, Nico, 3 very versatile players, can, you know, play, you know, some of the flex tanks, play the damage dealers as well. You bring Cloudy in now as like a primary main tank instead of Bedfest. The previous stage just has a larger hero pool. And you know, they're able to, you know, play a different play style that may throw some teams off guard.
Now for the Hangzhou Spark, one player we definitely want to highlight is Godsby. He is their Zarya player primarily. Rhea will play Zarya if Godsby plays the Sombra. But still, the Spark have not been able to integrate Sombra very effectively into their team compositions. Their stats, you know, for fights in which they use the MP are not exactly very good. They, in fact, lose more of those than they win. But Godsby Zarya definitely has been a bright spot for this team as the Spark start to transition into being more of an aggressive team. They want to be more, I guess, the instigator when it comes to these 3-3 fights.
Yeah, I mean, you see yesterday against the Hunters, Godsby putting up a above average performance. He was the HV player of the match in that series, and I think you're going to need him to have another good game here today. I think as they play this more aggressive play style, they've really been able to channel his Zarya play into, you know, some really nice results.
And I think that's a matchup that if the Spark can, they want to try and leverage that Zarya matchup. Now, when you see Soon and Shadowburn both on the same roster for Paris, it kind of gives you a bit of a tip-off that they're going to be playing multiple DPSs.
Yeah.
You know, normally it was Soon or Shadowburn, and one of those two would play the Zarya role, but now they're both in. So we'll see how that eventuates, and here, of course, is your map set presented to you by Toyota. Lijiang Tower is going to be our first map of the series for Control. Then we head to Anubis, then Eichenwald, then Junkertown to close it out.
Yeah, and here on Lijiang Tower, you can definitely see some more of the damage dealers being played. Shadowburn, we've seen him come in and play some Regata, but he can also play really nice Genji, good Pharah as well. So as we move into Lijiang Tower, it looks like Control Center kick things off. So you will primarily see the triple tank, triple support lineups on this. And interesting, this is probably one of the matchups where the Spark want to mirror. Usually they're, they like to play Sombra or some other types of things. They've been playing more 3-3 as of late, but I think if you're the Spark, you feel really confident going up against Paris in that mirror head-to-head matchup. And interesting, so Paris will kick things off. They'll be running triple tank, triple support, but they'll have a Wrecking Ball here instead of Reinhardt.
Yeah, the Chengdu Hunters were the first to run this composition map. They used to run it on the map of Ilios, and we kind of figured it was just because they wanted to play the Wrecking Ball. Cloudy drops in early with a pile driver here, and disruption in the back line of Hangzhou seems to be the plan for Paris to start this off. This is definitely Hammond's playground once he gets set up around that central pillar, but the damage trades for Hangzhou have been very good. They pressured Nico down to about half. Cloudy's looked worse for wear, and it's a trade of players to start the fight.
I mean, where you see where Gouchue is playing just behind this pillar, he can hold his Reinhardt shield for a while, doesn't have to expose himself, can keep it really charged up so nobody's breaking it rather quickly, and it's hard to move him off the point. You see where the supports are playing in the match. Soon connects there with a long-range alternate fire on Zarya, able to take out Bebe.
Yeah, at this part of the fight, if you're a Zenyatta, you don't want to get too close to Azaya. In fact, Bebe tried to keep his distance, but still wasn't enough. Keep an eye on Cloudy's health bar here after switching to the Reinhardt. Paris are still able to contest this point without giving it up completely. Shadowburn shield is out. Here's the Graviton Surge from Godspeed. He's been getting those pretty quickly. Soon has one himself, but the Transcendence is enough for Paris to stave off the push of Hangzhou and getting Gouchue out of the picture. They'll be satisfied with that, and they won't dig any deeper for ultimates.
Yeah, Gouchue may have gotten a little bit over-aggressive there. He actually tries to get behind the grab and get a pin, but he doesn't have any support there to keep him alive. So, yeah, no Zarya bubble on him. He was really low. You didn't come through and use the Transcendence to keep everybody topped up. So you end up losing the main tank there. It'll be the Paris Eternal who control the point first.
Not a great sign if you are using a grab in a losing fight, but Bebe finds an early pick-off on Grey here, who didn't have a Transcendence, but the Hangzhou Spark have one of their own now. The Graviton from the Eternal kind of fizzles, as there's no damage to really be found. Cloudy attempts to go for an Earth Shatter here, but no one from Hangzhou is really in position to receive that. Gouchue tried to reciprocate, neither Reinhardt actually making a big impact with those ultimates. But this is quite strange, Matt. Both teams losing fights in which they open up with Graviton Surge. For Paris, though, it definitely hurt to lose one of their supports so early.
Yeah, I mean, when Paris loses Grey early, you don't have the ability to build up to a Transcendence, so you don't have that ability. You have to kind of use your grab to be able to even kind of fight the point. So we'll see what the Spark decide to do. They can play close here. Godspeed working towards another Graviton Surge. So you can use it in this choke point. You can maybe even combo it. And with a Shadow, they decide to back up. So they're going to give the space. They're going to allow Paris in. They want to fight in the next choke.
Yeah, they also want to put a bit of poke damage down on Paris before they get to the point proper. Graviton Surge from Godspeed, that's extremely long range. Clearly didn't fear that Nico might be able to cancel it out with a defense matrix. Soundbarrier now for the Hangzhou Spark. They want to start fighting this one properly. Earth Shatter, this time it's a lot better from LH. Cloudy, 2 knockdown, Bebe and Godspeed, but the follow-up's not there, and Paris are being bundled out the front door. Grey, at least from long range, is able to find IDK, but that's not enough to take the wind out of Hangzhou's sails. Maybe this will be, though. Graviton Surge now answered by Hangzhou's Transcendence. Paris want to try and take this back, because now Hangzhou have inched into the lead.
Yeah, well, what Paris can do here is you do have the Sound Barrier to use to engage, so they do get Gouchue. They're going to use Sound Barrier. They're going to push on the point. Wonder if Crystal decides to use Rally here. Rally to try and keep this fight going without Reinhardt. In a matchup, now you're going to use it because you get that pick on the Shadowburn. No instant burst healing for the tanks here.
Now it looks like Nico just went for a self-destruct to get his mech back, but Grey and Cruz, the backline, are doing work here for the Eternal. Soon going down to Crystal, and there's only a couple of players left for Paris. This is disastrous for the Mat. They spend a good 30% fighting on the point. With only 4 players, Hangzhou just get further out in front. The Eternal just gets staggered.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the Zarya matchup coming in, a little bit with Soon playing Zarya for Paris, and Spark having Godspeed with another Graviton Surge. See if he uses this one at long range. It's a little bit risky when you have the Diva in play.
To have that taken away would be devastating.
Yeah.
He might be forced to use it in just a moment. You're taking a lot of damage. His shield's already been negated. Oh, he's down! No chance to use the Graviton Surge now, and that's a big green light for the Eternal. They push up to the point where they're in overtime with Gushue and Godspeed going down. No real reason for Hangzhou to stall this out too much longer unless they're trying to get some ultimates ready. But the Eternal are able to regain control. Well, not a moment too soon.
Yeah, and I mean, the Spark, they take a lot of poke damage when they're playing on the point, and they're probably trying to line up a Graviton Surge there, but when the rally comes through after they've already taken some damage, so the Paris Eternal are gaining all that armor, you don't want to invest like a Transcendence to keep everybody through that, and then a grab, it would have felt really bad. So for the Spark, you come back, pretty much 6 ultimates across the board, all you need is one fight.
And Soon is waiting for a chance to let this grab go, but Ria will be on the prowl. And he'll have nothing more than to shut this down. This is definitely the silver bullet for the Paris Eternal, and they must use it correctly. Here comes the rally pushing for Crystal. The rest of the Spark ready to get their hands a bit dirty. They catch Gushue inside the Graviton, but already Transcendence coming out from both sides. Attempted Earth Shatter here again for Gushue. Not much to be found there. Cloudy also, his Shatter fizzles. Here's the push though, and Shadowburn kind of caught out position. Cloudy was surrounded by Hangzhou players after getting booped away. IDK was definitely in the mix there. But he goes down. He played aggressively to try and get that repositioning. He gave his life for it. Now the Eternal are going to keep trying to contest this one out. Gushue was stunned out very briefly. Shadowburn now does have a rally. Gushue's shield very low. We can't do too much, but now use these corners to try and break line of sight. But with Ria's getting demeched here and soon going for yet another Graviton Surge in just a moment, this is looking very good for Paris.
Yeah, Paris up to 90%, so they've started to mount this big comeback. Soon's going to use his grab. You had Godspeed in it. But I mean, at this point, you need to just use it, pick up the eliminations. There's only 2 players alive here for the Spark.
Gushue tried to push up and take advantage of Bebe's Transcendence, but now there's out of position, and there it is, Paris! Definitely behind the 8 ball for much of that round, but the timing was good, and soon his last Graviton Surge generated very quickly. He was able to stay alive. Paris maintained control of the point. He kept his energy high, and therefore that grab came around nice and quick.
You know the biggest thing that they did in the last fight for Paris is the Spark have all these support ultimates, right? You know, to be able to sustain for so long. They did a nice job backing up on the point, you know, giving up some space to allow Shadowburn to build another rally. It's the same way they broke the point the previous time. Use the rally, push into Gushue, pressure him down.
We might see a little bit of a different flavor here as we're into Garden. Shadowburn's famed Farah will have to contend with Crystal's famed Widowmaker, if that's going to be the case.
I think Shadowburn actually takes a shot there, right off the rip from Crystal.
No. You got to be careful of that one. The enemy Widowmaker can find you from sport, but the Tracer duel is resolved and Soon gets the win there. A lot of players on their comfort DPS picks here, man. That's a good sign for Paris. Soon's opened up and found 2. One should let him in. He's going to take everything.
I mean, this is the type of game the Paris Eternal want to play right now. You get the damage dealers in play, Shadowburn on the Pharah. He's been so good in that. Damage dealers in play, Shadowburn on the Pharah. He's been so good in that role. Historically, Soon playing Tracer. These are like the 2 comfort picks for these 2 players. And Gray on Ana as well. Fantastic. But there's the headshot.
That'll be res.
Yep. Oh, I mean, maybe. We'll see. Yeah, behind the wall, so you're going to be able to get that res off. So. You know the res is off cooldown, and now Shadowburn has to be a little bit more careful trying to dodge Crystal.
Shadowburn has to hope that he can garner enough attention from Crystal that Soon is going to be able to jump in and assassinate this Widowmaker. Ria down to Nico, get the Sombra doing some serious work. And Crystal, this could be a little bit dicey for the Widowmaker, even to get to bite a grenade. Nice save by Bebe, and IDK swoops in. The backline of Hangzhou, great peel for Crystal.
And you see Shadowburn has to play around this central structure where the point is. Can't go too high in the sky, knows he'll get picked off, but Soon just on the Tracer, just darting around, picking up kills. It's going to be 2 for Soon. Cruz is going to get the res here on the Nico, so you're going to be able to keep fighting this for Paris.
One of the reasons, man, that the Los Angeles Valiant performed so well in Season 1 at times was Soon on this Tracer. It's where he belongs, he feels like he's home. Again, who's this go for here? Gushue's very well shielded up, he's at 5 health, tried to take on Crystal, but Ria was there. And now he's trying to do a 1 better on that Tracer roll. That's 3 for Ria. Normally a player we see on Diva duty, but he is doing some serious damage. But the Eternal held the point for much of this first part of the round, and they're at almost 60%.
Yeah, they have some ultimates to combo here. Yeah, you know, EMP, you could use Barrage, right? You don't have a Diva for the Spark, but Godspeed with an EMP as well. So we'll see how these two Sombras play around each other, right? Like, you're able to connect with Jennifer. He's gonna get Cruz killed as well. You see Cruz's health bar dropping as well, but they gotta be so careful with Crystal. They're gonna try and put pressure him down, maybe get a rocket barrage from behind.
Okay, Shadowman went to drop in here. Maybe getting rid of Nico. Not ideal, that was the EMP that was supposed to be coming forth. Sleeping Wrecking Ball there. Gooseray was out of the picture, but he got woken up almost straight away and soon falling to Crystal. Looks like the Widowmaker play for Crystal is really starting to take its toll on Paris now. Shadowburn is very limited in where he can play. Cruz also has to be quite risky to even pocket the Pharah. And yet the Eternal don't switch.
I mean, how much are you banking on a big rocket barrage here? Like, that's really what you're playing around. Crystal almost gets knocked off there. Yeah, they do take him out, so that was the real big problem. You get the Widowmaker out of the mix, but...
Also recall there from Rhea. He had to get out of dodge with Gooseray going down now. The Sparks just have to vacate the point pretty quickly. Maybe stall it out for a little bit. Oh, maybe they take it back. Minefield for Shadowburn. He flew a little bit too low. And Rhea getting rid of Cruz now. That's 2. He's looking for Gray, and he'll get it. Another 3K from the Tracer on Hangzhou Spark. Nico's able to 5-act, but he was hacked and couldn't do anything inside that room, and Crystal returns, this time on the Soldier 76, and Hangzhou maintain control.
But you're playing around the Pharah, just putting down this splash damage and getting the picks. But you're not really getting it, and you're just holding on to it because you have this barrage. When are you going to use this rocket barrage? It's an ultimate we really see, you know, the Pharah die rather quickly right after using it.
Shadowburn is notorious for holding his ultimates for inordinate periods of time. It's definitely a behavior that he exhibited on Genji. That's an EMP. Crystal tried to get away, but he was knocked up, and now the shots will come in from Shadowburn and Nico. Shadowburn now wants to play inside the room and have to direct it on Godspeed a lot. Thrown into this fight by Paris, pulse bomb by Soon. Rhea goes down. Nico's doing a lot of fighting, just player to player on this Sombra, and Gooseray doesn't get away.
Now, I'm interested to see if the Spark decide to switch things up. You play like a Winston here, start diving some of these players, but it'll be Crystal who switches over back to Widowmaker. That's the only change they decide to make here. Is I know Cloudy does have the minefield, so you'll be able to put that on the point, deter players from coming into it. Not really working with any ultimates here. I mean, nano boost, you can get the nano boost to Gooseray, really makes the Wrecking Ball difficult to take out.
Minefield dropped down now. Gray falling to Godspeed though. Paris lacking 2 players. This is not a good sign for the Eternal. With Crystal falling, Shadowman actually went to take the duel. He had to play a bit more aggressive there, but Rhea was ready to receive to follow up his pulse bomb kill. And the Hangzhou Spark clean that one up pretty comfortably now. Nico trying to stall out the point on the Sombra, and from a distance, Gray is trying to get there on the Lucio, which is not a common pick from him. Soon forced into recall now. The Eternal will try and keep this stalled as long as they can. Cloudy will be quite a pain, but he gets hacked to EMP employed just to get that Hammond off the point. Soon taken down by Rhea once more. Shadowman returning. He is also hacked. Crystal gets himself a nano boost this time. And it is essentially a foregone conclusion. Paris just want to try and keep it going. Be a little bit annoying. Gray, another switch. Not enough.
And we never see the rocket barrage.
Not even once.
Shadowburn coming through the window, probably would have used it at the end there, but he gets hacked up, falls right to the ground. He never got a use of the Pharah ultimate. They are using the Pharah though to put pressure on a Crystal. They're following up with the Wrecking Ball and the Tracer, but still, you'd like to get a use of it. And it's so hard when the characters are so spread out. You're not really getting a ton of value like in a solo rocket.
I mean,
right?
Who's going to bubble you? You don't have a Zarya in that composition. You do have an Ana. Gray was playing Ana, so perhaps you go for a barrage. You can get a nano boost.
A nano, yeah, I mean.
If you're investing 2 ultimates, that needs to be enough to win the fight on its own, and that's a combo that is pretty easy to avoid.
Yeah, I mean, if you're investing the nano boost to just survive through the rocket barrage, I mean, maybe it's a better idea to just solo barrage somebody, pick up 1 kill and then sacrifice yourself. The Spark come out with the standard 3-3. They come out the Reinhardt-based version here. The Paris Eternal, they still want to play these damage units. You have Sombra 76, and you have the Pharah in the mix still. That'll have Cruz playing the Mercy, and you see Rhea, he's going to get demixed. He'll go back to the spawn and switch things up. Just slightly annoying here to the Spark at the beginning.
Yeah, it means they probably can't capture straight away. With 3 players on the point for Paris.
Yeah, and they switch things up. They go with Winston now over Reinhardt. Winston base composition is better against the damage dealers because to be able to have Gooseray, you see just dive on some of these targets.
Well, not only being able to get aggressive, but also being able to heal easier as Winston is a big deal. And Soon can't do too much here. There's so much protection available. And the Brigitte from Crystal. Soon gets completely shut down. What do? Do you get a Tracer here with Soon? Try and play something a bit more mobile?
Well, I mean, I think if you're Paris, you decide to maybe switch up and play like the Reinhardt-based composition of the 3-3. You play your Reinhardt 3-3 right into it. Yep, this is exactly what you're going to see. You're going to see them go back to spawn, make the changes up. You probably have Nico play at least, one more spawn here on the Sombra because you're going to get the EMP. You may as well use EMP before you switch off to a D.Va.
Yeah. Zoom was never going to play Tracer against Brigitte at the end of the day.
He probably likes it.
Okay, sorry to do that. So you're right, Nico hangs around long enough on that Sombra pick to get an EMP. Now where does it go? It lands pretty darn well. 4 players getting connected with their Gushui. Had his Primal Rage turned off, but he wasn't finished off quickly enough. The focus wasn't there, so he gets Primal on. And now you don't want to be here at all if you're the Paris Eternal. That is gruesome.
As right before the EMP goes off, they actually get a nano boost onto Gushui. He jumps over the top of the wall. He's able to just put down so much damage. Then the EMP comes through. But the issue is that Gushui with the nano boost, he's able to survive long enough to then use Primal Rage and just display so many players. Now the Spark do have a grab to use here. You can put this one right to the wall, get another fight.
Got to be surely aware that Nico has made the switch now. He still lets the grab go. Nico was right there. You have to wonder if there's essentially trying to flex on your opponent by going for such risky grabs. But it works either way. Paris don't crack back. They're able to charge Crystal up against the wall, and Shadowbird leads the charge like only a brick player can. Notice he waiting for that repair pack. Gonna heal the rest of his team up now. With Hangzhou having to fold around that left-hand side, they're not in a good spot against a team with displacement abilities. Bebe over the edge and IDK taken out.
Yeah, what they'll decide to do though, the Spark, you had IDK and Gushui there, just play on the point as long as you can. Just get that percentage higher. I wonder if you see Gushui decide to switch. Very close to Primal Rage, but he's going to give that up. Go over to Reinhardt right away. You want to build up towards that Shatter. Maybe you end up losing a fight or two here if you're the Spark, but one fight, 86%. You're going to play up real close to the choke after. You're in a real good spot if you can win one fight if you're the Spark.
Shatter here for Cloudy. Gushui opting into the Reinhardt. Reinhardt. No more with shenanigans now.
Forced a repair pack early though out of Paris.
Anubis on Gushui here. Shatter! Gushui was pushed too far forward. It's Crystal Ria Bebe all knocked down. Shadowbird though was the one that gets charged up against the wall. The self-destruct from Nico was enough to create some space on the point, but no kills really created from that one. Yes, Trendsetters was used, but it isn't enough to keep Soon alive. It doesn't look like it. Godsby and Cole are able to gang up now on that French Zarya player. And the Paris Eternal are absolutely going to be getting evicted from this point, and now they'll be put in one fight territory for the map hanging in the balance.
They do have a grab though. It's just how do you get out of this choke and get the grab off? 90% and counting. You see how far the Spark are going to move up. You have to use a grab and get a Lucio touch on the point here. They just get Gushui stuck up in the grab.
They do have the Lucio touch though. Cruz has wrapped around to the point and triggered overtime. Cloudy going quite low. The grab, they weren't even able to get Gushui amongst that. That's the crazy part. And now it's going to be a grab jump for the Hangzhou Spark, and this is not where you want to be caught up as Paris. Cloudy is taken down. Hangzhou lost control of the point, but they rotate back, they reclaim it, they end it here.
Yeah, I mean, I love the play from the Spark. Instead of playing up in the choke and then everybody falling back to try and get the Lucio off the point, what do? They win the fight with the majority of the players in the choke that forces the Lucio back, and they're able to take the point right back at 99. And you see the players just straggling in here for the Paris Eternal, just trying to keep this point alive.
Oh, Cloudy, it's desperation, but unfortunately it's nothing more than that. Fire Strike will be enough to deal with Shadowbird. And that will be it. The Hangzhou Spark will take Lijiang Tower here. The timing is good. And their composition was very solid, especially on Night Market.
Really strong game from the Spark. They made a lot of nice switches at the exact times they needed to. I think if you see this Spark team more, you're going to get more wins out of them. It's map number 1 for the Spark. We'll be back with map 2 right after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.
it right there. Our legendary All-Star skins available from the 7th.
Yeah, May 7th to the 22nd. I'm going to cop those. I don't play either of those heroes, but I'm still going to cop them.
You don't play support.
Yeah, 200 Overwatch League tokens each. No, I never play support. But it'll be cool to say that I have them though. That's
What
about
are you
it.
going to do with it? No one's going to see them from you.
In the games I have to fill, and I'm being forced to, I'll have cool skins.
You feel?
No.
I didn't think so. Welcome back to the Allen Event Center, ladies and gentlemen. Map 1 goes to the Hangzhou Spark there. It was a pretty close affair. I feel like Night Market blew out after a little bit. You saw Paris tried to use Graviton Surge to sort of regain the point, and it didn't quite work. They only called Gushui in it, and they couldn't even kill that one guy.
I did think, though, from what you saw from the Spark, which you haven't seen from them really, earlier in the season, is, it's that one moment that stands out to me on that last point. When Gushui's really close to a Primal Rage, we know how good he is with that ultimate. They decide to make the wise decision of go to the Reinhardt earlier rather than later. We see so many teams stay on it to get one more ultimate. Kind of what happened with Paris, right? Where they could have changed things up and switched off of the FAR or switched off of that comp. They just kind of stuck on it for the ultimates. It didn't work out. The Spark go back, they switch to the Reinhardt. It ends up paying off because Gushui hits a big shatter at the end, helps them push on the point.
Yeah, essentially ended it there. And interesting, comp setups, I think, from Paris. So you brought it up. They're a little bit stubborn maybe on that first stage, but Crystal had an excellent contribution on their brig. Yeah. Get excited, everybody. Again, a lot of the time in those fights, making it very, very hard from Cloudy to be where he wanted to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just see with the set card, like, what Brigitte provides, right? I mean, the hero damage pretty strong, tons of healing in an AoE area, right? You land those whip shots, you trigger Inspire right away. I know the final blows, bash kills, being able to just stun players, and they do a nice job of just, like, if they can get to the side of Cloudy when he's playing the Reinhardt, get the stun off on him, you see everybody from the Spark just converge on him right away, just try and blow him up, get him out of the mix.
Yeah, we've seen the Hangzhou Spark feature sort of two main Brigitte players. We have a couple of substitutions now heading in towards map 2 as both these teams have made changes. So it is Adora that is coming in for Crystal. That will again be around that Brigitte role. That implies to me that the Spark want to play a little bit more standard 3-3.
He usually comes in for Anubis, our next map in the series. And then you have Danya who comes in for Shadowbird. So this is pretty standard subs for both teams here.
Yeah, but it also means we've seen Danya play a lot of the Widowmaker in the past. Damage dealer roles, quite famed for both of those picks here, so keep an eye out for that one. And you're right, yeah, our next map is going to be Temple of Anubis, so the setup will be a little bit different here. We often see substitutions for map 2s, that's quite common, although players like Gushui have been much more of a standard fixture for the Spark.
Gushui ain't coming out anymore.
No, I'm okay with that one.
Yeah, no, I think the Spark fans are as well. So after Anubis, we got Eichenwald and Junkertown to round the series off. But here on Anubis, on defense, I think that's really, you'll see the things mixed up the most is see a Spark 1-4, the Eternal 0-2, and that the team's not setting the meta here on Anubis, but you'll have Harris on defense first to kick things off. You can play this, good old bunker comp setup, you get the Widowmaker in the back on the high ground, you get Gray on the Baptiste, you get Danye on the Bastion, right? You just kind of set up on this mid-bridge here. Get the Bastion behind the Orisa shield, get the Immortality field down if they decide to dive in.
Yeah, we will see the Eternal do this on maps like Anubis. We've seen it on Paris as well. They do try and make use of the Baptiste in this bunker comp setup here. But we've seen this broken, the bunker comp, in multiple different ways, man. Teams are figuring it out.
And so here's your problem if you're Paris. If you end up losing this point, and they run something like a 3-3 setup, let's say if the Spark were able to run 3-3, break this, you have to change so much for Paris into the next point. Luckily for them, Spark not playing that. They're going to play a lot of damage dealers here. It's maybe still in the spawn on Hangzhou, fire and arrows up at the top of the screen, but Gushui on the point, just trying to draw players back. That's the point here. You want to get players back off of this mid-bridge. You get the Bastion starting to walk around, right? Not in the turret form there. That's when you can start to make plays.
Oh my God, Rhea in a good position here to pressure with this Tracer soon, trying to duck out the way! Unbelievable!
Okay.
Just before that, getting the shot on Godspeed. 3 now for Soon.
All right.
Oh, he's glad to be back on damage dealers, Matt.
That was sick. Soon just ripping faces in the close range there. gonna have the spark still stay on this. Probably a little bit more cautious now, approaching Soon's feeling himself, right? I mean,
look how far forward he's playing.
yeah, I mean, this is like, I remember that game we cast, Baby Bay just like ran into the mid choke, just tried 1v1 a Brig. His Widowmaker didn't work out for him, but Soon backs up here. Is Daniel actually going to pick here on the IDK? So you get the Mercy out of the mix. It's the only support here for the Spark, so they got to wait up a little bit.
So he does have Infrasight here. That's when life becomes a little bit harder for Godsby, especially for Sombra that is encroaching on EMP territory. Be frustrating for Godsby to be constantly revealed. Oh, baby! Try again tomorrow, son! And again, that Infrasight now being activated means that Godsby, who does have EMP, has no way of setting it up in secret at all. Everyone's gonna pile in on this kill.
So I get the idea of playing the damage dealers for the Spark, right? I think that's kind of how you force them off of the point here. But you only really have Gushui and Godsby to an extent to be able to challenge the Widowmaker. Like, playing the Hanzo at range. The Hanzo's good to break the shield, but you need somebody who's going to strike fear into Soon that he could potentially, get headshot taken out right away. Is the Hanzo at range, or the Pharah here, for instance, I don't think is the answer.
And who are you trying to connect with Godsby right now? I suppose Janye dropping down.
Yeah.
Still no Sombra ultimate. The Spark are very segmented right now. All right, you drop down, you use it here. Janye gets EMP'd immediately. A pulse bomb even from Rhea, but it maybe wasn't necessary. Losing Godsby and Adora though, Matt, not ideal, because Cruz on the Mercy just brings Danye back into the fold.
Yeah, I mean, this composition from the Paris Eternal has really given the Spark some problems. I think you can't be running the Pharah here. You can't be running the Hanzo. Maybe get a Widowmaker.
Again!
Look, so the Widowmaker for the Spark would not really do a ton to eliminate the Bastion, but you have the Wrecking Ball, you have the Sombra, you have the Tracer to go after the Bastion. So get something that can go up on the high ground, pick up a kill. Like, look, like Gray, they can play up on the high ground. They're not scared of somebody shooting them from the choke at all.
Minefield, drop down with Gooseway here soon. Potentially compromising situation as Nico's taken down by a mine. As is Danye knocked into that field. Not often that we see a lot of kills being generated by that ultimate from Wrecking Ball. But in this case, it's been quite enough. Soon gets pile driver, and Gooseway has 3 already. This is going to be pretty one-sided now after such a good hold. I like that immortality field placed down there by Gray. Going to be tough to get rid of, but Gooseway swings in and gets the job done. 4 kills for the Wrecking Ball in this fight. He's everywhere at once. And there's nothing left for the Paris Eternal as Gooseway gets 5 final blows, and they take A.
I mean, Gushui doesn't set that play up. They may not even take point A throughout this. So Soon will use his Infrasight. Some changes come through from Paris.
It was looking dicey, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're going to see some changes come through from the Sparks. They decided to change everything but Godsby here, so you want to hold on. Potentially get that EMP on the point B where you have to play really close. Could be a point winner. So now you'll see Soon, gets the Infrasight, knows they're going to stay on this kind of competition. He'll play McCree for at least a push.
If he can shut down Godsby, he will have a brief window when Godsby comes out of stealth and before the Sombra gets the EMP off. Very satisfying sound of headshots being rung out. We actually heard from the dev team that they used the sound of a bottle cap coming off of a bottle. That was their inspiration for it. But there's the EMP, and Godsby wasn't shut down. Now they descend into the moat to chase Cloudy, and he gets removed. That should be the opening that the Spark are looking for now. They will transition to the points, but Bebe looks like he got a little bit too ahead of himself here, or Cruz maybe went hunting, as we know he likes to do. It's a slow push though from Hangzhou here, Matt. Rhea waiting the wings, but soon maybe to overextend. It's very dangerous to face the McCree out in the open, and they wait for the dive. Now they push in, Rhea low. Looks like Goose had to get out.
I think they just kind of lost the opportunity though. A little bit slow to take advantage there. They get the kills, they're just not able to get healed up so quickly. So they do get a hack onto the Mega Health Pack underneath Soon. Yep, this is going to be a
he's just trying to reload, fam.
Yeah, so you'll see him go over to Zarya as soon as Godsby makes the change. So really only played the McCree to counter that. Gray now will play Zenyatta, beat the damage here at Bebe, but you do put yourself pretty far behind in terms of Transcendence buildup.
We're going to have to last a fight when their opposition is much more healing than they do. Look at Adora, straight over the gap here. Oh, they've caught Cloudy out yet again. Going down first in this fight as he did in the previous one. Now the Eternal once more have to try and hang on without their main tank. This could be interesting. You see Adora sort of moving to the backline and shield bashing anyone who extends too far. Now without Soon, not only are Paris without their main tank, but also a lot of their damage. They can now move to the point here. They're still playing carefully, expecting some shenanigans.
good pass from Paris, but his self-destruct coming over the top of the Transcendence being forced down from BB. He was happy to use it. Nico going down now in the Diva battle. And it will be an attempted stall here from Cloud. He tried to keep this one going, but Paris haven't really shown many signs of resistance in this fight. This switch from Soon, though, may be a difference maker, Max. Sebastian might be called upon to get them out of this situation. Or not. Got needed to see him and took him out.
Yeah, and Gazi's so charged up. They get the sound barrier as well. So great use of the Transcendence. Now they're going to use the grab in the corner, and it's a big one.
Nico caught up there. Again, more stall on the point. The Paris Eternal are just trying to keep this one going. The clock is getting rather low. Time bank Spark down on about a minute 15 seconds, and even the May pick coming in now from Soon. Wall up now, an ice block, and he'll sit there and chill for a moment. But he will eventually be so annoying. He will eventually get removed, and that will be it. The Spark pushed through. And you feel like at one stage, the Eternal basically gave up on trying to win the fight and just wanted to elongate it.
Yeah, the Spark, they had a tough time taking point A, but their point B push very good. Really just 2 attempts. They ran the Sombra for 1, they switched God's B over to the Zarya. They're able to take point B, complete the map. We'll see Paris' attack after this.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Well, as far as attacking efforts go, I wouldn't say that was the most convincing display from Hangzhou, Matt. They almost got completely stumped on point A. And on point B, they seemed hesitant to really commit to capturing the point in its entirety. You said at one point that they kind of threw away one of their opportunities to end the round there and then.
Well, I mean, at one point, they get an EMP off, right? They take out Cloudy right away. They get the hack on the Mega underneath. And then they kind of back out. And it's because, you know, a few players too weak. You didn't have like a lot of burst healing to be able to heal players back up rather quickly. The reinforcements come out from the Paris Eternal. But the Hangzhou Spark, they make it work in the end. They switch over to the Zarya. And I think where you're seeing these teams, the difference is in the mirror matchup. Paris has looked pretty good when they're able to run the damage dealers, and the Spark are willing to do that. When they mirror in terms of 3-3, that's where you see Spark have the advantage.
I think Soon is absolutely a danger player here. He may not go for the Widowmaker here, as you saw. Hangzhou had very limited success trying to play snipers on the attack. Danye will be on the Genji here, with the Genji Sombra with the Wrecking Ball. Ana in the mix here for Paris.
So they want to get into the back line, dive onto Godspeed, playing the Widow. So this is what you could have, well, it would have been much harder to get the Bash and the Batiste in the mix for the Paris Eternal, but look from Godspeed's POV, it's going to be very difficult for him to deal with all these players coming at him from different directions.
He really wants him to walk into a poison mine now, so he knows where they are.
Yeah, Dora getting the first kill on Gray probably slowed things up a little bit. So that's the primary source of healing for the Paris Eternal, but what they're going to be able to do is if you force Godspeed off of one spot on the high ground with, let's say, the Wrecking Ball, you can send Danye on Genji or Nico on the Diva, or maybe even both, to the next location, right? So you beat him at the punch.
Gray has returned, but if he wants to get through that first choke, he just needs to watch out for Godspeed, who will be on lookout. Adora there. Nico's caught up in a trap on that high ground, but Adora is a little bit too late on turning around, and Godsby's been taken down. Danya gets in and gets the job done. However, Godsby is brought back to life, and Rhea chases down the Genji. And the Spark, after losing that first player, have a chance to stabilize. Even though Cloudy throws himself into the backline, this time it gets Bebe. Remember, if Wrecking Ball gets a solid power driver on a lone Zenyatta, it's very easy to blow him up.
And the thing that also is, works in favor of Paris here as well, is that if you can get behind the Orisa shield and force them back up, like put the pressure on the Widow, as we may see, this is not.
I think Bebe knows what's going on.
Now he knows.
Okay, Soon just gets out though. He's sort of happy to leave it. Now with the infra side on, Soon is much less of a threat to the Hangzhou Spark for the time being. They know exactly where he is at all times, at least for the next few seconds. And they're going to wait as a result of that. They're not going to push until they know it's done.
A lot of ultimates here for the Spark, though. Now you know exactly where Danya is. Trying to come on the flank here. We'll see. Soon going to die here to Adora. As Adora's kicked off the last 2 fights with some early picks on Junkrat. So you have the Riptire. You think that's a fight win, right? Usually you see the Riptire always pick up a kill or 2.
Look, the burst damage that Junkrat can offload is dangerous for Soon because as Sombra, you take a little bit of damage, you try and do some yourself, and then you get out. But if you get blown up by a remote mine, you don't have a chance to get out with a translocate.
I mean, I think the scary thing here for Paris is you're going to get the Nano Blade, right? You're going to get EMP, like big ultimates, like really like game-changing ultimates. All great eyes again, so don't got Nano. If you lose that fight, you're forced to switch after that. You're looking at 30 seconds on the clock at best with the way this has gone. I mean, Danya, he's in a world of trouble as well. I mean, he works all the way back, but I mean, if they don't win this fight when they're able to combo these big ultimates, they're in trouble of even not taking point A.
And if Paris are playing pressure to point A, their players who are trying to flank behind don't have any safety. The Spark have all the freedom to turn around and deal with them as the threat, then back to Paris as they try and push properly. This EMP needs to connect, but Soon pulls the plug and translocates back out to the front. So Paris are slowed down again, and Gray gets picked off once more. They need him to be in the action. Without that extra healing, it's impossible.
When was the last time we saw, like, on this round? They really have not gotten a complete fight.
They have no time left, man. 30 seconds.
Where they've even gotten to use the ultimate. So the scenario I was talking about where you use all the ultimates and then you're stuck with 30 seconds if you don't win. Because these fights have really not even produced anything for Paris. You haven't invested any ultimates at all. You're really down to just a 1-fight game. All 6 ultimates available for pretty much everybody on both teams outside of Cloudy.
And infra side for the last fight. They know exactly how the Eternal are trying to set up. Nothing can be kept secret from them.
Up the wall.
Now this one may hurt. Cruz there not affected by it. Sound barrier came in, but the Eternal used a sound barrier before the fight even really starts there. They used it so they straight up just didn't die to the Riptire. Less than ideal to say the very least. Dunny trying to go for a Dragon Blade now. He needs to salvage this situation, but he can't find a target. What use is a swordsman without a mark? Across the point he goes with the EMP connecting onto multiple players, and Godsby is currently sleeping it off. The Eternal have a brief window and Gray fights too, doing damage to the backline as Anna and Danye gets in. Here's the opening that Paris were looking for now. Danye able to roam freely, looking to try and chase down IDK here on this Mercy, and again, another sneak start connects. Gray has done a huge amount of work, but it's not time for the trend setup to come out, and Gray goes down. The Caduceus Blaster from IDK able to secure the kill on the Anna, and Danye needs to lift more than he has before. It's 2 though, the melee kill on IDK is the opener, and then he's gonna push in with the deflect. Gooseway is rolled over. Although Godsby can get back and get rid of Cloudy here, Danye falls. Adora trying to Doomfist play his 1-for-1 stuff. It's just the Tracer on the point right now. Godsby really needs to hold on here. He's up against 2 though. Nick goes low. Godsby ducks back, gets a health pack. Can he get the D-suit here on Nico? This would be massive. He's got no help right now.
Got no
He's
teammates.
He's going in overtime, and eventually he succumbs. It was close, but the Eternal get to keep going.
I am so shocked that they invested in the Transcendence there, that they felt so confident that they were going to be able to get people coming all the way back, that they used that Zenyatta ultimate. Because look, now Paris, you got another Nano Blade here to be able to pull something off, as Godsby will have a pulse bomb. So, and they're lucky Soon's EMP was real good. I mean, he connected with Bebe there. If they would have used that Transcendence early, would have been in trouble. And he actually, he lost it.
He tried to go for the EMP, but he got stunned out of it. Danye still trying though. The Nano Blade has yielded 2 kills so far. But the rest of his teammates are struggling. Gray's been taken down. Godsby attempted a pulse bomb, but Danye picks him off. The headshot. And now Paris can move to the point here. There will be reinforcements for Hangzhou, and you have to wonder if Paris really have enough to get this done. I don't think they do. They lost too many players early in the fight. Dungeon's having an incredible performance on Genji, but it's not enough to make the difference right now.
Yeah, but I mean, if you let Gushui just get into your back line on Winston, you're not going to last very long in a lot of these fights. You know, Ryan with Danye, he's doing a nice job on the Genji. You're wondering where everybody else is. It's because Gushui's in your back line, just jumping through, taking everybody out. So Winston right now for the Spark, get this, 2 deaths over the course of the map, 16 final blows for Gushui, 30 limbs, crazy game thus far.
He gets to do whatever he wants right now, and again he goes for the Primal Rage. Gray down! And that must be it for the Paris Eternal, especially with the Primal Rage in play. Gushui getting healed, bubbled, everything. That's why he hasn't died, his team's just on the job. And then he drops back in. This will be a nasty stagger for the Eternal, and a great opportunity for Hangzhou to charge up more ultimates.
And I mean, they're lucky he does a nice job with the Primal Rage to jump behind some players and try and knock them back into the Spark team, or he only actually got 1 to do it. So now he sees that Cloudy's gonna play Reinhardt, he's going to switch over. So now you'll have the full mirror here. Is 2 minutes on the clock here for the Eternal. You're gonna have to try and build up some of these big game-changing ultimates. Still, you know, 2 minutes, not a lot of time to make something happen.
Self-destruct here from Rhea could force the Eternal to commit this fight on the point. But he decides to wait for it. Pretty passive play, working around this pillar, so mitigating as much damage as possible with defense matrix while taking relatively little himself because he's breaking line of sight with his corner.
Rhea has such a better line of sight to the Reinhardt than Nico does, so you're able to work down Cloudy Shield much faster.
Leaves the matrix off,
back up, yeah.
And then he turns it on for its full duration, then he leaves it off again. So there are windows of where all the damage is getting through for Paris, but there's so much healing on Hangzhou and so much shielding in general that that's okay. Nico had to go for a self-destruct here just to get his mech back. And yeah, he doesn't find any kills with it. Graviton Surge thrown in, and that's a good one from Godspeed Baby as the Transcendence, though. The Eternal do also. Gray gonna bring that one in, and now Cruz is gonna lay the sound barrier into the mix. Gushui and Dora, should I say, have to back up as quickly as they can, and now the Eternal have a lot of room on the point. With IDK going down and not much time difference between these two teams, the Eternal looking like they have a real shot here, Matt. Especially using rally from Danye. They'll look to try and set up here. Cloudy needs to be careful, though. They must keep their Ryan alive late in the fight. Getting Rhea, that's a good sign.
Get a DMEC, this is gonna be, still, you don't have 1 tick on the board here for Paris. They just get it now. The Spark gonna try and group up here. You have Gushui coming from one direction, goes right on in.
Done immediately.
Not gonna live long.
Godspeed trying to make his way forward. He probably has plenty of charge, but not a lot of health. That's the trade-off there. IDK gets rid of Cloudy. And look at the back. Rhea's just chilling out here. A grab thrown directly into Diva is quite a ballsy play to make. But now the Hangzhou Spark are going to try and contest here with a Rhea who got a sound barrier despite not being in his mech. IDK is stalling it out. They're trying to get the Paris Eternal into overtime here, but they're not able to get it done. The Paris Eternal just finished the Temple of Anubis here, but I tell you what, it was close. Very little time left in their bank. We're talking the order of sort of seconds. They'll get a time extension. We'll be back now with extra innings in just a moment. The Spark have about 1 minute and 53 seconds remaining in their time bank. That's considerably more than the Eternal at this stage, so Paris have to go on the attack first with only a minute. And considering how much trouble, Matt, that they had their first time through, you have to wonder if the same approach here will be valid.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Paris, you know, your defense was really strong. I mean, the time that they end up with the Spark is just because their attack on B was very good. So I think if you're Paris, if you can force the issue here, capture point A, you feel like that you have a decent chance to win the map, considering you were pretty much full holding for most of your point A defense.
Godspeed takes a couple of shots, realizes he'll be very quickly an endangered species playing on that archway. But he has many options here. As soon as his grappling hook comes off cooldown, he can head to the back left-hand corner.
ultimate is charging.
The Eternal need to deal with him here. Godspeed definitely wants to vary up his pathing and positioning to make it harder for Danye and Cloudy to just collapse on him and remove him. Again, those poison mines, very important.
Also have to keep Gray alive, as Adoro is doing a nice job getting some early pickoffs. As I think they know that the supports are blocked off here. Cruz and Gray pretty far away. They're going to get the pick here on the Godspeed, but look, Gray alone on the bridge.
Again, that's been his story so far in the Temple of Anubis. They need him to be in these fights. It's trade-outs though. It's back and forth stuff. A couple of plays from the Parasitella here on the point, but the Adora double might be the difference maker. With a Riptire, this will be adding to his already 2 kills in this fight, and finding Cruz was big, but Cloudy went up to the high ground and dealt with Adora, who wasn't able to take action while using that Riptire. Soon returns to the point. Gray on the Widowmaker. He's now switched over to the Sniper, and he's found 2, but Godspeed might be able to save the day. It's overtime. Paris streaming onto the point now. Danye getting some big protection for the defense matrix, and a recall is required from Godspeed. He can't chase down the enemy Genji. He'll have to stay alive now because IDK has fallen. The reinforcements are on the way, but Godspeed is cut down. Gray with another one. And he's in a great spot here to pressure Bebe, prevent the Zenyatta from testing and challenging the point. Only Eternal are broken through. They go the secret weapon. The Portuguese Sniper comes out on top, and they get point A.
I mean, he doesn't make the change over to Widowmaker. They may not be able to do that. Is Gray now, he'll play Moira towards the end. Really good healing output. You can build up to Coalescence rather quickly. So you will have a Dragon Blade here. No support ultimates online just yet for the Spark.
And that means it's a great window for Danye to make sure he can actually complete some kills with his blade. Paris have 3 seconds. They're going to be in overtime while they're touching the point, but at this point, they're kind of used to it. Pulse bomb attempt that was thrown on Nico. It's enough to get him desuited, and Gray is picked off by Godspeed. Danye needs to make a difference now, though. It's blade now, or it's blade never. Sound barrier comes down, and here it comes. Danye into the mix. What can he find? He sees a Brigitte and thinks twice about that one. No interest in getting shield bash out of his ultimate, so he finds very little. He's forced to retreat back to one of the perches on the high ground now, but with Rhea getting desuited and taken down by Cloudy, a big opening here from the Paris Eternal. Scan moments left, but Gray comes back here this time on the Sombra. This man is playing everything. Nico trying to stall out as he pushes off the point there, eventually gets chased down and soon falls into Goucheway. That's not a good sign. Winston's so good against these more vulnerable compositions. He drops right in, the mobility and damage is there, and the Hangzhou Spark stave the Eternal off. Paris get 1 tick of permanent progress, but that's all, and that'll have to be enough.
Gray with some big switches to even make that possible. So you're able to take point A for Paris. I think Paris comes out. They run the same thing they ran on their initial defense. They run the Orisa with the Bastion, plus the Baptiste. And you think you have a pretty good chance of winning this map, as their defense on point A was rather good, but I know Gray came up huge on the Widowmaker there. Towards the end, where they were in overtime on point A, they needed somebody to make a play from a distance. They had nobody to challenge the Widow because Godspeed has switched to Tracer to make his way back. So he doesn't get those few pickoffs. This is one where all the Spark may need to do is take point A to take it.
It's a classic strategy, of course. Force the defending team to play on point A out in the open, and then sneak one of your players onto the Widowmaker. But it's unlikely that the Hangzhou Spark would have expected this switch, especially coming from a player like Gray. But it is relatively common for Ana players to actually be, solid Widowmaker players. They're both snipers. We know Raucus from the Houston Outlaws is definitely known to switch to that pick himself.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen flex supports in general being able to go over and play some damage dealers as well. So we can take a look on Gray's POV. So you see we're in overtime already, not even taking a pick there. Yeah, right back in again. So we're getting right back into it. Is IDK and the Widowmaker just taking a peek up top. It's going to see the exact same comp as last time. So they decide they're going to run the same exact thing. So they're going to keep things going with the Hangzhou. So you're going to run quad DPS, usually as the solo tank here.
If the Paris Eternal can get to a point here where they're able to use an amplification matrix in a way that Danye can fire through it, there's probably a fight win there. Remember, last time the Spark played up against this composition on this map, they kind of had to wait till Godspeed got an EMP.
Yeah,
that may take longer than they really have here.
Yeah, I know Goucheway laid down a really nice minefield as well. It's just, can you pressure out this Widowmaker sooner rather than later? So you see Goucheway come from one side. Now you got the pick off, but the res may be incoming though.
Cruz has to be careful though. Bebe will be watching that spot. He's still able to get the resurrect. Adora seems to be essentially unfettered here, playing from an off angle, sending some rockets into the setup on the high ground. And the Spark have started capturing the point here. That is a huge pile driver knockup on the Paris Eternal. They need to stop this capture at some point. Rhea's gone down.
Gooshway gets brought back there with a hold, and Danye doesn't have a shield to play from right now. Adora is doing a lot of damage and not really being contested. You're looking for the kill on Danye, but it's Sebastian that gets the better. Godsby able to chime back in, and once again, it's a 2v3 situation favoring the Eternal on the point right now. Soon knocked into the air, now he'll take to the skies himself, try and get rid of Gooshway, but Godsby wants to ruin his day. Comes back in with a translocator, but Cruz was there! The Mercy pocket to save the day! Now things are actually coming together for the Paris Eternal. They have an air matrix, they have tank configuration, Danye getting kill after kill, and soon now with the infra site, nowhere that Bebe can hide, and soon puts it to bed.
Yeah, and I mean, Godsby now, obviously, as Sombra is going to be spotted out rather quickly with this EMP. With 9 seconds left, you're looking at maybe Rhea to touch. He gets taken out. It's going to be all on Gooshway.
Danye is going to be holding the door right now with that tank configuration. Over time, one tick of progress was already gained from the Spark prior, but they need to fully capture this point here before they can even think of continuing. But Gooshway going down. Adora is also missing. Gray going to get that air matrix to the high ground. They still opt to drop down. But they've done it. The Paris Eternal hold the Hangzhou Spark off there. With that bunker composition, the Spark just couldn't find those important picks, and they even this series up. Paris desperately need this match win to even have a chance of thinking about playoffs in stage 2. My gosh, they had to work for it. Half time just coming up around the break, and we'll have the desk break it all down.
The Overwatch League is welcome back to the Dallas homestand. We are live right now. It's halftime. Paris and Hangzhou all tied up 1 apiece at the half. Welcome back into a sold-out arena. Everybody make some noise. You guys having fun? It is Sunday. We've got 4 more matches to go here in Dallas, and this one's shaping up to be a good one. It's Chris Puckett alongside the whole team. We've got Zoe, Brennan, Sideshow back once again. And I have to just get initial impressions on this one. We thought it was going to be good on paper. This one playing out so close every single map.
It really is. It's a bit of a back and forth. One time you feel like, oh, like Paris is really ahead. They got their things together, and then it looks quite different next round. However, I was impressed with a lot of things we did see. One thing, however, which did stuck out to me was that Cloudy died a lot. He's not the only one to be blamed for that, though. It was a bit of a team effort. However, it really stuck out right out of the gates. He died on that Hammond and then had to switch over to the Reinhardt. Mind you, though, they still got the point first despite him dying, so that was a good effort from his team. But throughout the entirety of that first map, he just kept on going down. And that was partially due to Soon's bubbles being just a tiny little bit too early or too late, not really protecting him. It was also him just being caught out of position very, very often. Spark did a very good job at actually singling him out a little bit and splitting him away from the team.
Bully and Cloudy, the main tank from Paris. It's been rough in that game one, but the highlight for me in game one was we saw some tanks put back on the bench as some DPS heroes came out, Bren.
Yes, we did. This was a very exciting game, actually, because of the amount of damage-dealing characters we saw being busted out by a lot of these characters. We got to see Soon on a role that he was known for. This is his signature hero on the Tracer, but he was kind of being met man-to-man almost against Rhea as well, and Rhea, not someone we really think of as a Tracer player, normally playing a Diva, but he's flexing a little bit now, and this is a role that I think a lot of off-time players are starting to have to do these days, more and more often.
He is nano boosted here, to be fair.
He had a great game.
Only at the start.
I mean, Rhea had a
Only at the
fantastic
start.
game when he was playing the Tracer here, and I feel like, again, it's a rarity. I mean, the only other player that comes to mind, Hopper, any others?
Yeah.
I thought that he outplayed Soon on Tracer. Do you guys agree with that?
No, I don't, and here's why. Because Hangzhou Spark's composition allowed him so much space. The whole of Paris Eternal was focused on taking Crystal out of the fight, because Shadowburn and Cruz can't get in unless you put a bunch of pressure on Crystal on that Widowmaker. And that means that Soon's just on his own the entire time.
So smart.
But Rio comes in, and he's just got all the free space in the world. So I think it's not that Rhea is a better Tracer than Soon or outplayed him, but the way that this comp works put a lot of pressure on Soon to perform, and it was actually Rhea that was better supported by the rest of his team, and the comp worked better for them.
There you go. Taking a look at the numbers, you can see some big damage done by both players, and that was just in one round. Pretty impressive stuff in our first game, but we got to talk about Anubis. This one back and forth, and it looked like for a moment we were going to see some full holds. Paris clutched up. They win the map, but they wouldn't have done it without this point 8 capture. Josh, how'd they get it done?
Yeah, there was a huge ultimate fight, so I'm going to run you through it in Ult Economy presented by State Farm, and this one is a doozy. They basically, I mean, look at the time that's left on the clock here. They had 12 seconds left, and they've put themselves in a position where there's basically 6 ults up for the team. Okay, Elish Cloudy doesn't have his, but there genuinely is 6 ults up for the opposing side of Hangzhou Spark. So as you can see here, they've popped their infra site already, so they know exactly where they're coming from. And both teams have one major defensive support ultimate. So Cruz has one over here, and then Baby has one here. So both of these can be used reactively, but what it's going to come down to this push is how well they use the EMP and the Nano Boost as well, because you get this classic combo of the EMP Nano Blade. So as they come forward, the tire is used. So Nanovisor, the Infrasight tire, sorry, is a classic combo, and Cruz responds immediately. This tire has so much threat to it that they've actually used their sound barrier just to be able to survive, because it's the final fight. They absolutely can't allow themselves to die. Now they should be setting up for an EMP Nano Blade, but things get chaotic. Nico's gone really far in, used his self-destruct, doesn't get anything. A Nano Blade's out on the point, but it hasn't got anything either. But this is the crucial moment. As Rhea comes back here to be able to support the rest of his team, Rhea's flown back in to be able to support his backline. Now Soon sees the opportunity to be able to use this EMP. And this EMP that comes down here is utterly huge. Catches the backline, catches Bebe with his Transcendence available as well. Rhea's hacked up so he can't defend anybody. Adora's hacked up so he can't use his concussion mines. They're able to clutch this in the end. But what a messy fight when all of the ults are available. And it shows you that if you just wait for all 12 ults to be up, that can still be a very variable fight.
It was that exact same team fight as well, that there was a moment where Paris stepped off the point in overtime, and it was 0.1 seconds before it was going off. They almost Charlie 9'd in that moment as well.
So we could be in a situation where Spark are 2-0 up so easily here, but Paris clutched.
Well, all three of you called Spark on our pre-show, right? So is there anyone on the desk willing to flip? Anyone going with Paris in the second half?
I think I'm actually going to stick to Spark. I was very impressed with their target calling in the very first round. I think if they can keep it up and are a little bit more reactionary. I was a little bit disappointed with how they handled the bunker come, for example, from Paris. They really didn't make the necessary switches quick enough, which I was a little bit confused about. I was not sold on that Hanzo and that Farah pick going into that bunker come from the other side. So I just hope that they react a little bit quicker, and then they should have it.
All right, well, I know where you guys are going here on the desk, but I got to find out the temperature of the room. Right now, can I hear it? Where are the Spark fans at? And who wants to see Paris walk away with the win today?
It's a same people cheering?
I think it's Paris fans, and I think they're a little bit louder right now. We have 3 more matches to go, and another half in this one. Kings Row is coming up when we return.
They don't just play for a team. They play for every fan, every rival, every moment, every match. And when everyone watching expects the best, they perform with the best.
At the half, both Paris Eternal and Hangzhou Spark are going at it 1-1 for these two. And again, it was a very close map on the Temple of Anubis here.
Yeah.
But as we head on towards our hybrid maps, we want to see if they manage to keep it just as close. By the way, it's been a great time being here at the Allen Event Center in Dallas. We're going to head off to Atlanta for their homestand weekend, July 6th and 7th, atlrain.com to get your tickets. Come and hang out with us there as well. We're going on the road again.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Done a few events in Atlanta. Always a pretty sick turnout. So I'm excited for that one as well. Excited to get out on the road and all these events. I mean, I love LA. I love staying at home. But it's fun to get out here. I mean, this has been awesome.
Really loves
Oh, yeah, no, I don't leave my house to go. Well, I gotta go to the arena.
How many times did I see you in the off-season? 0. 0 times.
Now, there were a few times. We had some meetings, but other than that, no.
He likes to stay at home. But we're a big fan of the homestand sort of setup. And of course, Atlanta's going to be where our next one is, so check that one out. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we know those fans out there are crazy. We've seen the cheer bits leaderboard. We kind of know who people are going crazy for here. We've got a couple substitutions as well as we head into map number 3 in this series. Matthew?
Yeah,
will be Shadowburn to come back in.
Yep, you have Shadowburn come back in for Danye, and I think that's the only one we got across the board here. So that'll be the only substitution. The next map is Eichenwald. So it'll be Eichenwald here for map number 3 in our hybrid. So you could see Shadowburn just kind of pick up that brick roll again. Maybe wanted to play some damage dealers. You can play the Pharah around the center pole on defense. It was a set strategy we saw last year. So you see Eichenwald here for game 3. Junkertown would be the map that could potentially close things out.
Yeah, Pharah's always seemed like the riskier play, but on point 8, we've definitely seen merit. Even defensively, in fact, the Boston Uprising were one of the first teams that really started pushing this defensive Pharah idea because you can hide from Widowmaker pretty easily. Attacking Widowmaker on this map is it's not great. Like, it's not easy to shut down defensive Pharah because her counters are just pretty bad on this first point of the map in general.
Yeah, the defensive bar here, where you would have to unlock the payload for argument's sake. You can play around that big center pillar, make it really difficult for anybody to get line of sight.
We're talking about the Hangzhou Spark here after all. They definitely prefer to play more 3-3.
I mean, they're going to play 3-3. It's going to be interesting, though, because the Paris Eternal, what they have here early, looks like they want to play some damage dealers, which you like the damage dealers into the Reinhardt version of the 3-3, especially on a map like this.
Shadowburn, it's going to be a peek over the rooftops here.
Do they want to mirror it? Interesting.
Yeah, I guess. What about they were expecting? Maybe they were expecting like a Winston setup, but I would have thought you'd want to play damage dealers into the Reinhardt 3-3. That's where it's most susceptible, but we will see the switch up here. Shadowburn over to the brink, soon to the Zion.
Maybe they feel better about their 3-3 matchup when you have Shadowburn in the game as opposed to Danye. There goes Cloudy going for a real big charge, but Gouche so low.
And Gouche actually trying to follow it up there as Cloudy missed his charge, and still Cloudy comes out on top soon, hit a nice little particle barrier. And Gouche had to turn his back on the Eternal. I mean, it's a big risk to take, Matt. Your whole team is there benefiting from your shield, and you decide to turn tail and try and charge an enemy Reinhardt there. So the risk not paying off. Gray currently sleeping here. It's going to be a two-man binding grenade laid down by Baby, but he has to trade his life for it, and maybe that wasn't worth it. But Cloudy used a fire strike as Gouche returns to the fray. Ria's in there, and the Graviton Surge was very timely from the Spark.
And I tell you what, I really like what we saw from Paris. They pushed forward. They wanted to pick up kills because they did not want to let the Spark just kind of come down, touch the point with the Lucio, touch the point with the Diva, allow Gouche to get back in the mix. And they couldn't find anybody. All they found after a while was Baby, but they found him so late that Gouche's back in the mix. You get a Graviton Surge from Godspeed, and you're able to flip it. You don't even get in any percentage at all there for Paris.
Look at this ult economy now for the Hangzhou Spark. They only really spent the Graviton Surge on winning that fight, so they're in a great spot, especially in those small ultimates. Gouche wants to push forward, and Anubis is going to make it easy to charge his next Earth Shatter, but he doesn't commit. Again, there's no need to try and team wipe Paris so close to their spawn. There's a risk associated with trickling them in. So they're going to wait till Paris commits to the point. That's when Gouche wants to put the hammer down. But at least getting the Nanoboost gets that ultimate ready to go.
I mean, they ended up with the rally there, and you had Nanoboost use. You were trying to a little bit what we saw the Dallas Field do yesterday, giving it on to OG and letting them just go in there. But nice disengage there from Paris. As the grab comes out, self-destruct as well.
There it is. Gouche goes for the Shatter here, but the rest of his team is able to get away from the self-destruct now. Cloudy, Shatter, he gets two with that one. Adora, 90k get eaten up. So they've eaten their last horse for now. Gouche backing up. And Baby does not want to be here at all. So the Paris Eternal are able to move up into the point. A binding grenade as a parting gift doesn't really do a whole lot here again. It's unfortunate. Baby really was hoping to try and shut down Gray, especially his Transcendence is there. Wasn't able to do much.
Yeah, and the Earth Shatter is good from Cloudy there towards the end. Gouche charges past. He sees an opportunity to just connect with a two-player Shatter, knocks both of them down. The cleanup starts to come through. So now we'll see what the Spark decide to do on defense. Do you play close up here, try and play at the gate? You should see a lot of teams do. And you see they're jumping down from the high ground. They want to play this cart as close as possible to the gate.
Again, it's all about the corners on this part of the map. Gouche is going to try and use the broken wall and also this doorway on his right. But he needs to make sure he's able to shield up his team. If Cloudy's able to get a Shatter, charge it up, and then get it past Gouche, he'll be very unhappy. And I like this from the Spark, mate. They're giving ground here. They haven't lost anyone. They're overcommitting. They're charging ultimates. They're getting Godspeed nice and fired up in a position to do a lot of damage later in the fight. Both teams use Rally so that the Hangzhou Spark won't get pushed back just because Shadowburn uses his. Eventually they have to fight though. Ria getting desuited means there's soon Graviton, and no, there's no way that can be shut down. The charge of Gouche. It's fine just to get one play with the Graviton Surge because that's how these fights snowball, especially in a 3-3 setup. And so ultimately the Eternal with the fight only really committing the grab to it.
Yeah, and they're just burning down Gouche's shield and they're not able to keep him alive. They get the pick on Ria because he has to play a little bit further out than he probably would like. And there were no corners for Gouche to play behind. He was trying to use the payload to just kind of conserve some shield energy. You see Cloudy just kind of juggling this corner here, has the advantage, right? Gouche's got to use that shield. You see them putting the pressure on it. It's already starting to crack.
This has been really efficient from the Eternal on this second stage of the map. But now this is where they're going to have to start committing a little bit more. Shadow attempt there, Gouche and Godspeed are both knocked to the ground, but Baby is there to the rescue with the Transcendence. Now here comes the crackback Shadow, but no one from the Eternal is knocked down. Gouche finds nothing with that one. Transcendence here with self-destruct comes in over the top. They got real with it. Looks like he was desuited after sending his own bomb in, and he wasn't able to avoid the blast. Now it's up to IDK, but all he can do is stall out here in Paris. They've got to be very happy with this. They get checkpoint B. They have 3.5 minutes now to finish the map.
They have looked good in the 3-3 mirror, which is kind of surprising because the Spark over the last few games has really excelled at playing an aggressive 3-3, just pressuring teams down, but it seems like Paris came in pretty prepared for this.
I mean, that's a new idea for the Spark to play more aggressive in that 3-3, whereas Paris were doing that in stage 1.
Right.
So I guess they're able to go back to maybe what they felt was a more natural style for them, bringing that European tank and support synergy in. Again, a similar situation where rallies are burnt, but neither team is willing to give an inch. Hangzhou will let the payload push to this corner, then they'll start to use that corner to keep it stalled out. Cloudy might have got caught there, but a bubble gets given to him. Great! He finds the first pick from over the top. And you've got to be feeling good about Paris. It won't be long before Baby returns, so you really have to lean into that player advantage that you've created. And it looks like they're trying to do that now. Shadowman needs to be careful staying alive. IDK stunned up as he tries to keep the payload stalled yet again. So the Eternal win the fight. The payload got slowed down a lot, but the Spark are completely jumbled up now. Their spawn order's way out of whack.
And they have to come out of multiple doors because you have the Graviton Surge here. Could lock a bunch of players up.
Matt, they're not doing it. They're not coming out of multiple doors. It's just Rhea who pushes out just in time. Half a minute left for the payload to get in the middle of the map, but the Spark almost made a huge mistake in not splitting. They're forced up into two. Gooseray, Cloudy going out. Oh, there it is, the Shadow! Much better from Cloudy. Gooseray got stunned. He tried to get Chiz. However, he manages to salvage the situation by picking Cruz up with the charge in. But soon you can see him on the left-hand side. Baby gets completely nuked, and he is charged up and ready to really hit hard. Sound barrier now, and you know it's not ideal when only two players are benefiting from it. IDK trying to keep it up, but Paris, that is a blistering attack.
Really good offense there from the Paris Eternal. So, you know, from point A on, there was zero defense there from the Spark. It's a minute and 42 in the time bank. Really good time. We'll have to see if the Spark can match on their offense after this.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Been quite the stoush so far between Hangzhou and Paris, but the match of the week is coming up tonight at 5:15 p.m. You know it. It will be the battle for Texas between the Outlaws and Fuel. And you'll be able to watch that on Twitch, Disney XD, and the ESPN app.
Probably.
That is not one to miss.
Yeah, there's probably a few people here who came to see that as well.
One of them.
So yeah, let's take a look at this replay. So at the end here, so you can see Gooseray wanted to get a shatter off after this, but take a look at Shatter with the stun there. Perfect timing. So Gooseray uses the shatter, but he gets nothing with it because he gets stunned up during the process.
Outplayed. Nicely done by Shadowburn. We're very pleased with that result. The Eternal now can, well, they can't let this get away from them, but you're probably feeling pretty comfortable after having almost 2 minutes in the time bank on a very long hybrid map. Compositionally speaking, nothing crazy there. The Spark went for a defensive Ana. The Eternal still want to go with Grey on Zenyatta for that Transcendence.
I mean, the Transcendence, the extra damage, and I think also why you want to run this in here if you're the Paris Eternal is that you've seen that new Gooseray shield management a lot like in the San Francisco series. Not looking too hot today, so if you can burn his shield down, get the discords on him, it just takes away that ability to be aggressive if you're the Spark.
The ball's in Hangzhou's court right now. The Paris are backing up to the point. They want the Spark to commit up and this close. Soon you can see he is charged up. So those early damage trades have been very gainful for this Zaya. And getting Rhea desuited here is a very good sign. Now the Eternal can really start to unleash, especially people like Gray sitting in the back. Can't have their damage mitigated.
And you saw it there from Soon's POV, what we were talking about with the shield manager. Yushui walks up to the card, he's got the shield going the whole time. It gets burned down so quick. All you see is Cloudy just swinging. He knows he has Harmony, he has bubbles, he's got Repair Pack, only puts it up when necessary.
All the important ults are online, but Soon gets a sound barrier first. IDK is a long way away from his one. Shadow knocks Soon to the ground. The Eternal need to keep him alive. He has the grab. That's going to end this fight in their favor. Transcendence now for the Eternal. It's a bit later, and Baby doesn't have his anymore. He's used it. Gushue and Adora both knocked down. And that's a strike for LH Cloudy. The Spark head for the hills.
I know you saw Gushue have a really good map in the previous one. Playing Winston. Now Cloudy's starting to get the better of him in the Ryan v Ryan matchup.
Well, I mean, it's nice when they're caught up inside a grab.
Yeah. But I mean, he's been hitting some pretty big shatters throughout this whole.
Are you worried though for the Eternal now not having either the sound barrier or the Transcendence when Godsby has this grab?
Yeah, considering how good his grabs have been, they've been a little bit risky, long range in them, down. But you do like that the Spark have that grab. You're going to have to follow through with no big support ultimate online. But see, Gray, building up towards it rather quick, and if they don't go quick, you may be able to get that.
Looking for it now, but pressure on a Cloudy seems to be the order of the day, and getting rid of him might just make this a little bit easier. Grab thrown in. Now Adora trying to get a lot of work done with the rocket flail. And that will be it. The Hangzhou Spark come back in. Now, did the Paris Eternal overcommit support ultimates in that first fight, Matt? Going into a team with a grab and not having either Zed or Lucio ults doesn't seem great.
I mean, you can make the same argument, though, right there, where the Spark, they get that kill onto LH Cloudy. They use the sound barrier to engage. Did you need the grab after that? When you have real estate...
They already got the enemy Reinhardt?
Yeah, I mean, did you really need the grab after that? Like, you would have liked the grab here when you had the self-destructive combo. Soon comes in with his own grab. It'll be Transcendence from Bebe. Keep everybody alive.
Self-destruct doesn't find anything despite the fact the Spark had Transcendence in play. The Eternal once more have their two most important support ults ready to bring into the fight. Cloudy playing the corner very carefully here, trying not to take any unnecessary damage, and the Eternal now uses Sound Barrier. That is definitely the green light. This is where they go. Cloudy doesn't want to expend the Shatter unless he's sure he can get it set up, and it's likely trying to coordinate with Shadowbird to make sure it connects. Maybe trying to push up here as well. Keep an eye on the Dorms of Discord. If Cloudy hasn't put on him, he will need to put his shield up. Here comes the Shadow. No, as an attempt. Inside the Groton Surge. Now comes the Shadow a little bit later on. He actually gets on towards Bebe and a door in the backside. Gushue gets three though. Yes, the running was in play, but Gray was taken out. That was not ideal to get caught like that one. This time in the Ryan battle, it's Gushue who gets the upper hand.
Yeah, lands the big Shatter, and I didn't know if they were going to actually have the follow-up, but Bebe takes out Gray, you get a bubble on a Gushue, you send him on in, starts to put down some more damages. Now the Spark have started to get the payload rolling. Now they're the team with both of those big support ultimates. They're going to have all three, actually, and they're going to have the grab, self-destruct. Oh man, what a sick combo of ultimates here. You have through this bridge, not a lot of area to block this big bomb combo.
Paris is going to be annoying.
Yeah, they're going to take the backside. They don't want to play on the bridge here.
They want to just die on the card if that's where it's going to happen. Gushue going down though. Doesn't look like anyone was credited for that kill, so he may have just walked off the edge. Or there could have been a collision. Either way, there's going to be now Sound Barrier brought into the fight, but this could be rough. Cruz is not going to survive, nor is Shadowbird. Now Rhea will just be able to push back. Soon's trying to get away with whatever energy he's been able to steal from the fight, but that payload is going to get to point B. And Hangzhou in a very similar situation as the Eternal were last time around.
And the hard part here, though, Mitch, for Paris is that fight goes down. They don't end up getting the Sound Barrier or the Transcendence out from the Hangzhou Spark. They're able to hold on to both of those big support ultimates.
And they lost theirs so cheaply earlier on in that point B push. They would have loved to have had them.
Yeah, and if you're the Spark, you can engage with an ultimate.
Shadow.
Then push on through. You may not even need it now. It's a huge shatter. They're going to Sound Barrier on top.
They connected with Gray here, but they weren't able to take him out. So there's still the option for the Transcendence, but Gray decided to hold it, realizing the fight was probably already lost there for the Paris Eternal. He's going to keep it in reserve for one more push. The Eternal have really given a lot of ground on this last stage of the map, and there is a distinct chance that the Spark finish with a bit of time now left in the bank. They just need to convert here. Cloudy might be able to shut this down straight away with the Shadow, but they need to push out from 2 different sides. This time, no grab available. Cloudy pushing very far forward. Does get a bubble pretty quickly and healed up. Bit of a reset now and a lull in the action, but Cloudy still looking for that Shadow. He lets it go. It doesn't connect with anyone. There's going to have to be something else in the Eternal that gets himself out of this pickle. Another Zarya bowl for Cloudy, and he is not being moved. He's not playing too aggressively. Goes for the charge, and that's enough to catch Adora. That's the opening for the Paris Eternal. Remember, they have that Transcendence if they need it. So they're looking good. They can push back with that 1 pick.
Yeah, they did a nice job forcing Godspeed off of the high ground. They got Nico up to the top, and he was actually able to fly through on D.Va. Getting him down, he would have had that Zarya charged up on the high ground, would have been able to chunk some players down. You saw the self-destruct use there from Paris. They threw it on past Gushue. He had to back up with the rest of the team. Adora had to try and go into that little cubby in the corner, gets charged by Cloudy. That's how they manufacture that pick.
Paris can very well hold the Spark off here, especially if these ultimates come down in the right sequence. Godspeed constantly looking for Cloudy. It's quite clear to see the Spark fancy removing him and hoping that Eternal crumble as a result. Another long-range grab, I'll tell you what, it's quite crazy. Maybe they're hard to eat here. Both teams going for the grabs, and it's going to be the Spark put up on the payload, but again, both teams, you also use their Transcendences. No kills, 2 big ultimates committed to the fight. Gushue Shadow, he wants to get this shield of Cloudy's very low, but in order to do so, he has to put himself in a bit of danger himself. There it is, he lays it down, and he finds Cloudy. That's enough. They're just looking for the pick here, with Shadowman following soon after. You can see what Godspeed is able to do now that there are no shields really available at all. Gray falls. Nico trying to stall things out on the cart once more, but the Eternal are in the lead in time bank at the very least. The Spark go down below 1 minute, and we're going to do it all again. You had to be happy with that one as the Spark. There was a risk of failing to finish the map after the Eternal started to wake up a little bit right towards the end. There's 54 seconds separating these teams, pretty much just like the Temple of Anubis, as we head now to our extra round. Two different map types over map 2 and 3, one being Assault, one being Hybrid, and yet the time bank difference as we head into extra time is
Actually
almost
the same,
identical.
yeah.
53, 54 seconds. So these two teams really hard to separate.
And what allows the Spark to take that at the end is you had the, I believe, Transcendence and Barrier use the same time from the Paris Eternal, and the Spark knew that, and they have IDK about like 5% towards Sound Barrier, and at 95%, and they decide to just kind of play on the cart, wait a little bit. They get Sound Barrier, they use the Shatter from Gushue, and then that really puts them over the top. If Paris doesn't layer those support ultimates, they may have been able to hold there on B.
They'll be kicking themselves for that one, but there's not really any time to think about it. I mean, not much time for the Spark either. They have to attack first, but they had less of a time bank, and they've got 35 seconds left. So essentially, this fight needs to be the one. Soon's done up, he's taken down! That might be the opening the Spark we're looking for. They're getting rid of a big source of damage at the side of the Paris Eternal, and Cloudy had nowhere to go. He was pinned up against the wall, and Gushue does the same to Shadowbird. The Spark, it's uncommon to see teams break through on point A on the first fight. They didn't even need any ultimates to do it, and now they're going to have some for the next part of the map.
And because Soon dies so quick, you're going to be way behind in terms of grab charge time. Maria jumps up the side and waits a little bit to do it to make sure he gets the good spawn here. So he'll get back into mech. We go into overtime. You're going to have the Transcendence already here for baby. And you're going to have Rally. So 2 ultimates here for the Spark to keep him up.
I'm sure have a bit of a lead here, but they need to be using these ultimates wisely. Otherwise, before they know it, Paris will be back ahead. But Shadowburn got caught there.
They got to run.
Nico's in trouble as well. They really need to back away. The Eternal seem to be uncertain about what they're actually going to do. Now they decide to push forward, die on cart, but they are feeding further ultimates here. Look at this, Godspeed is way ahead of Soon in terms of that Graviton charge. That could be huge here.
As like, you know, if you look at the first 2 fights, like the 2 people you would not want to lose in either of them are your Brig or your Zarya.
They lost both.
Back to back, that's rough. Now, I mean, Paris Eternal, you're all the time bank you built up kind of goes for nothing now, right? I mean, they're going to come up from the high ground again. They're going to drop down.
This could get
Same
out
way
of
they
control.
same way they played the defense the last time.
Hangzhou Spark cannot leave the payload for any reason. McCloud, he's low, and while he's in the air, a huge earth shot comes down from Gooseway. There's no chance for Hangzhou to really capitalize on though, but now a grab to follow it up. Remember, Gotsby is way ahead of Soon in terms of charging that one up. The Eternal it up well, but no! Man overboard! IDK sends Gray packing over the ramparts, and Shadowburn isn't healthy enough to continue this fight. The Spark will not be stopped.
Oh, that was a sick boop there. IDK now getting some players up as they jump down, right? Now get back up. Big shatter comes down. Kyushu ends up building another one, I believe, off of the Graviton Surge. So Soon has this grab, but you still have Bebe holding on to this Transcendence. He's not been scared to pop it. So this is a great offense here from the Spark. The Eternal really falling apart here.
Even though Paris Matt have a Graviton, there's still a Transcendence available for Hangzhou. Look how they stave off the damage, perfect. Although nice body grenade, Gray realizing switching towards Ana could be the ticket to countering out that Transcendence and ending the round here. And looks like he was right. Godsby's going to try and make some magic happen here with the Graviton Surge, but Cloudy was there. Earth Shatter gets Rhea desuited. Godsby is down, and Paris finally stopped the cart. But it pushed way further than it had any business doing.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't still feel great for Paris, right? I mean, you have this minute 54, but with only a minute for the Spark to get that much progress, it kind of feels like a loss for the Eternal, where you had a really good offense, but now it's like you get in the comms, you're like, oh yeah, let's just do it again. It's like you kind of drop the ball here on D.
Soon, thinking of all the opportunities that he and the Eternal had.
He didn't have many. I mean, he was dead real quick on the first.
That's the issue. Ideally, you don't want to go down first because there's Zarya there.
Yeah.
You have a Reinhardt shield in front of you for a reason, but these things do happen, especially if the enemy Brig is stunning the right now. The Hangzhou Spark, again, they like to play this Ana defensively here, man. Why do you sort of prefer that if you're Hangzhou over bringing his Zen, which has the Transcendence?
I mean, look, you can get the Ana set up on the high ground, just like how we saw Gray really ruin the day there for the Spark with the big biotic grenade that came in. You can land some of those here. So they did do a good job playing around the Ana. You know, Bebe was able to build up like a nano boost in the previous fight on defense. It's just the only thing that you worry about with the Spark is not having that Zenyatta damage, kind of even up the shield matchup, which you're kind of losing anyway. It's the only thing you really worry about here, the Spark here.
We know that teams like the Shock will play defensive Ana and like play Ana really far forward to try and get a huge fighting grenade and kind of use it aggressively. The Spark haven't shown that tendency. Bebe will play back with the rest of his team. You just need to try and avoid that early damage he takes when he fights. Oh, that's a great displacement of Gooseway, and he gets taken down straight away. Welcome to Book City.
Both teams really starting their defenses out strong, right?
It ain't compelling, Matt.
Gooseway plays far up. Cruz knocks him right back into the rest of Paris, and well, if you thought the Spark's offense was fast, the Paris Eternal basically no defensive effort there from the Spark. Just take the point. And now the Spark, they want to fight this before the game. So I actually like this decision here from the Spark. You know you have the time in your favor. You need to get them to burn some more time and get some ultimates out of Paris.
You want to put them in overtime as quickly as you possibly can, or without the payload moving too far. Gray's going to be sitting back behind him. He knows there's no need to go for the Transcendence here. Fighting grenade did connect from Bebe, but really nothing to worry about. The Eternal just forced to pay a bit more of a tax to advance, but the Dallas Fuel did the same thing to the Valiant.
I mean, it buys them about 15 seconds. This next fight's huge. If Paris can leave this next fight with some of those ultimates, they can complete this. They can do it. It's going to be very difficult though. Bebe could get like some high ground here on the castle, right? Land one of those big biotic grenades and really negate any of Gray's Transcendence here.
Do Hangzhou come in? I guess the answer is yes. They kept Bebe on Ana just to get that nano boost on Gooseway, but Soon is there. Shatter is gone. Oh! Gooseway knocked down by Soon. It's okay. It was all a ruse. He's a trained stuntman. And he lands on the ledge. Some high-flying stuff from the Paris Eternal, but they comfortably win the fight. And Matt, they have some of those ultimates left over, like you said.
Hey man, sometimes it's better to be a little bit lucky, right? As soon as like falling towards his death, makes it onto the ledge as be able to take this point. It looks like there's a spark going to set up behind the door, which sets us up here for one final fight.
Both teams have Graviton Surge. Only Paris has a Transcendent though. Bebe's just switched to Zen.
You would think this is where you wanted the Ana, just like how Gray came out with the Ana on defense. This is probably the spot you would have wanted it.
Yes, because either way, there won't be enough time to charge up a Transcendence unless the fight is unnecessarily long. One team will have won by then, most likely. Repair pack on used on Gucci. Here it is, Gucci trying to go for the shadow. It's going to be a Graviton Surge over the top side of the strut. It doesn't connect. Now they go for the Paris Eternal. Nico sends in the ball. Will it connect? Gucci down. And now Rhea gets desuited. Baby to fall. And IDK is going to try and keep this one going. But the Hangzhou Spark have got a bit ahead of themselves. Godspeed will drive, but try as he might, the Eternal will lock down a second map in this series. And they'll go to match point. Soon fans around the world, gotta be happy with that one. As is the crowd right here. Paris Eternal, must-win game for them. They have to win this, and now they're in position to do so. Map 4, right around the corner.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile. Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
And the Paris Eternals sneak ahead now in what has been an incredibly close match. I don't really know if we expected, Matt, these two teams to go out of the way they have. Maybe it's the crowd, maybe it's the atmosphere, maybe it's the guy who just serenaded me on the saxophone. Whatever it is, these two teams are giving it all they've got.
Yeah, that's true.
That actually happened.
There was a guy back. I don't know where he went. He ran off real quick. But no, this series has been really close. We kind of hyped it up at the beginning of the match. You know, both of these teams still in playoff contention for stage 2. It's just they haven't really felt like that, right? I think because we have so many like teams that are undefeated, just kind of like rolling through.
There are quite a few in the top of the standings.
Yeah, that I think some of the teams in the middle, it's really hard to kind of gauge where they're at. And this series has been really fun.
That also means with so many teams actually potentially going undefeated in stage 2, you don't need such a stellar record to get into that sort of the bottom 8 of the playoffs necessarily, because there are a lot of teams that are sort of, you know, blown out by these.
You like to get in and stay in longer than like 3 maps.
That's right. But if you have 4 undefeated teams, there are more teams that are, you know, getting blown out.
Yeah.
There is some more 4-0s or teams undefeated. The point is that there is a chance for both of these teams to make playoffs. Hangzhou generally look quite good, but losing this match would put them in dire straits if that's what they're trying to do. Get some extra game time. It's Crystal back in.
Yeah, Crystal comes in for Adora, so for Junkertown, you expect some kind of different strategy here for the Spark. So we do have a sub for the Paris Eternal as well, as Danye comes in for Shadowburn. I also think both of these teams realize how important the matchup is, because like you mentioned, the chance these teams can make stage playoffs. You would need to win this game to give yourself a chance to do it. And I think both of them come in. They know, I think you got Toronto Define after this for Paris, and then you have Seoul Dynasty for the Spark. You need this win to give yourself a chance to even get in at the end.
And this next map is definitely one in which a couple of extra damage dealer specials will be required. How about these guys as well?
Oh, see some of these heroes.
You'd absolutely love to see it. Fantastic work on display. We've got Fuel and Outlaw Flying Hearts in the back there. So cool. Junkertown will be our 4th map of this series, and not necessarily the final one. The Spark have an opportunity to take it to a map 5 tiebreaker. I mean, and Junkertown is just the kind of map where a weird and wacky team can thrive.
This is almost like the series we casted with the Spark and the Boston Uprising, where it kind of goes the distance, where it goes back and forth. The game was just absolute mayhem. It's Junkertown, you expect the mayhem. The Spark undefeated here, 2-0. They bring in Crystal for this one. You can play the Widowmaker, you can play Bastion, you can do a lot of different things. It's the Paris Eternal, be on offense to kick things off here.
Spark are good on this map, Matt. 2-0 record for them.
Yep, I mean, that's what the graphic says. So
Yeah. And I believe the graphic.
I always believe the graphic.
Trust
When in doubt, believe the graphic.
So the Eternal really need to knuckle down here. When they go on the attacking side, they really want to try and breeze through as much as possible. You know this map is really momentum-based.
Odd defense.
A dive defense from Hangzhou, we've seen it before.
Yeah, but like the solo Winston, if they run this offensive Bastion, I mean, you're going to have to just pump Gouche with the heals, keep him up.
Immortality Field will definitely make a big difference. Bardic Grenade to start the fight off, though. What now? I mean, you can see, Sue can hardly see what he's firing at, but he gets Gouche here. Yes, the Immortality Field is trying to take him down, but Godspeed just walks into a hail of bullets. Yes.
You know, Gouche moves 2 steps forward, and he's like, oh no. And he just tries to go back the other way. But the Hulk comes in from Cloudy, you're able to take him out, you have no tank in the mix. You're trying to get some of these flankers in position to make a play. They get a Diva now, so at least they'll have defense matrix to fly on through. Eat some shots up. Interesting setup here.
I don't love the Ria Tracer when you're going up against a Bastion. You need to be able to, again, stave off this inordinate amount of damage for as long as you can to get close enough. But look at, this is why the Eternal are playing so far out in the open. They're daring the Spark to cross this big gap.
Yep. Make the dive target really difficult. I mean, look at it at a distance. I mean, Ria's defense matrix probably eating up. Maybe you're building, I mean, you're getting some farm on the nano boost here, but...
A deep play for Crystal was really wishful. He was hoping desperately for something there. Gouche, even though he has an nano boost on him, he's not going to survive long enough. Got taken very low there, and he's not going to escape. Hangzhou Spark have not come up with an answer to this composition yet, and you'd be surprised about that, considering everyone kind of plays it. But Paris are looking pretty good in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different look though, right? Usually you put the Bastion on the card, and you just let it go through. Crystal with the Dragon Blade here.
And Matrix. Okay, Crystal's gonna come through here. Yeah, well, it's tough. Look, you're trying to deal with that Demon.
Get Rally going on as well there for the Eternal.
And there's a brig. Like, you really don't get much done on Genji when there's a brig in your face here. Sound barrier for the Hangzhou Spark, though. They're trying to play out of line of sight of the Bastion now with a 4-player EMP and Baby landing the Bardic Grenade. This will definitely slow the Eternal down. The problem is Gouche still can't hang with Soon in the back corner, and he will continue putting damage down. The Spark just need to shelter from the rain of bullets to try and keep the payload contested.
They're trying to hide behind the little boxes, and it's not working out. Here comes Soon. I mean, you're only going to live for so long if you were the Spark. Trying to play that way, just eliminate the players on the cart, pretend Soon doesn't exist. He does, and you end up losing the fight as now Cloudy and Soon going off on their own little adventure here. Danier following them up. They're going to get the high ground here.
Yeah, Hangzhou's strategy of trying to just stay out of line of sight from Soon kind of breaks down when he gets the tank configuration and he's able to use area of effect damage around those corners. The fight was done by then, in all fairness.
Well, now that you have the Reinhardt in the mix, you have to just kind of charge this choke.
Look at them being held in place. The hold from Cloudy means that the Spark is subject to this, barrage of damage from Soon for much longer than this. I mean, they're not going to push out. They're stuck here now. Until this air matrix is done, they cannot move. But they're going to be forced to. Hold thrown in. Diva trying to mitigate some of that damage. Soon realizes self-destruct being thrown in. He doesn't even turn his back. He trusts his team to keep him alive. And the Immortality Field does just that. Self-destruct for Ria, not getting the result. Soon he's put to sleep briefly on the high ground, but there's no one there from the Spark to follow up. Crystal's going to try and push up. Gray is the one in the front line here. He doesn't want to be going face-to-face with Brig, but Nico and Soon are going to be there. Soon is able to reposition himself, and the payload the entire time is going to be able to keep moving once more.
Yeah, and I think you really have to love the positioning from the Paris Eternal here. They've done a really nice job of not just putting the Bastion on top of the cart, they're moving them different locations, really making it difficult for the Spark to track them down. And then when they do, you just have to close those long gaps, those big distances. And they're kind of using the cart as bait, right? Where they sit up on the high ground, the cart's moving, the Sparks don't want the cart to move under the bridge, they wrap around, but then it keeps giving you the high ground over and over again. Now you'll put the Bastion on the cart, let him do his thing as he moves through the gate.
Another amp matrix here for Dre. Hangzhou Spark, approach at your own risk. Godspeed's Graviton, Juiceway's Earthshatter, there are the options right now. Shatter comes down, they catch Suna Cloudy, and amp matrix here from Gray, but it really just for him to get extra healing. It's not enough though. Juiceway's Shatter in and of itself was enough, but Bebe followed up with a beautiful biotic grenade to seal the deal. Show me your moves.
He's using the super jump just to bash his head up on the wall. It ain't gonna save you there. Now you'll see the Paris Eternal make some changes. Can't run the Bastion now. It would be really difficult to get back onto the cart. Rhea underneath here. Some scouting, able to maybe like dash up, boost somebody out of the way, down to the low ground.
If he can chase down a Zenyatta on the high ground, if he sneaks up there after the Eternal engage.
Even if you see this end up there, right? You can fly up and even knock him around. Big grab that comes in. No protection here from the Paris Eternal.
And a biotic grenade from Bebe. You definitely see him trending towards going for the Ana in a lot of these fights. Bolt that one, Nico.
Run.
Gonna be hanging around for a bit.
Poor guy.
I thought the Eternals push just now was actually a set play because they purposely went through two entrances at once. And normally you don't want to split your team up. There's a bit of a risk in doing so, especially if a Reinhardt, but they went for it.
I mean, you also know that you're walking into a Graviton Surge. So they did end up using Grav and Nano, right? So you got two ultimates now. Now you're starting to work down the ultimates, try and get some type of advantage, a winnable fight.
The Eternal need to really make a push in their own human. They can't just keep accepting their fate for so many of these fights. Look at that, 710 left on Jushua's shield. He had to put it down for a brief time, but he can't really keep it up. It's going to be dangerous for him now. He's going to be forced to go for a shatter. He does, but it works out. He gets Nico and Cruz, and Godspeed is going to be there to help him lace them down. Gray, no point using the Transcendence here, my friend. And soon just gets his grab for the first time after switching towards his composition, but the Eternal have lost 90 seconds. Half the remaining time bank is gone.
Yeah, and at the same time, though, that Soon's built up to his grab. You have Godspeed already with another grab. So you'll have like Graviton Surge, you're going to get the Nano Boost on a Gushway again, farm up that Earth Shatter. Grab going to be used early.
Out of line of sight. He uses the fact that he's out of LOS to throw down and grab it out and get eaten by Rhea, but can the Eternal capitalize, or was it just thrown in? And they've got nothing from that one. Kieran, this is bad for the Paris Eternal. Things are going wrong. Cloudy looking to try and save the day with an Earth Shatter, but he was so low. He's still trying to go in for a charge, but Rhea caught him. And he couldn't get away. Dangerous, dangerous times for the Paris Eternal now. They've spent so much of their ult bank. What do they do?
I mean, they ended up using Shatter, the grab there. I mean, it was not great for Paris. Didn't even really have a great opportunity to follow up on the grab. He was stuck inside of Godspeed. She maybe could have held on to it as Bebe's just over from Ana to Zen here. Try and build up towards a Transcendence. You know they have sound barrier. And you get a really big shatter here from Gushway.
Looking good, the Eternal have to sheepishly pass the Spark by as they attempt to try and get the high ground. Sound barrier onto 6. So the Spark just let it dissipate. The Eternal have to be the ones that come to the payload ultimately if they want to keep playing.
I think they thought that they were going to get aggressive behind the rally, so they decided to answer with barrier. But the Spark, smartly, they ventured back up to the cart. You can't do anything without the cart.
Great decision making from the Hangzhou Spark, and now the Eternal are in a very awkward situation. They have to come forward, but with what? Maybe it's a rally here from Dunye to start them off. They're going to trade, they're going to hope to force some ultimate down, but it has to be here, it has to be now. Godspeed sitting pretty behind not only a Reinhardt shield, but the knowledge that he has a Graviton Surge, and he lets it go straight away. And this should be the beginning of the end for the Paris Eternal. They try and put a Transcendence in the mix. Self-destruct doesn't find any kills. Even if Cloudy was knocked out of the way, they're still operating at a full 6-player roster. And now Soon has his grab. Can he get the damage in behind the shield? Gooseway doesn't look likely. Not with the sound barrier. Nico does find IDK, but his job was already done. The Lucio ult got applied. And now the Paris Eternal have no one left except for Cruz. He's sat on the payload, awaiting his time. Destiny comes for us all. And the Eternal gets stopped. That payload did not move for 3 minutes and 10 seconds plus.
I mean, once they switched them off of the Bastion comp, they could really get nothing going there, as the ultimate usage much better from the Spark. Towards the end, I mean, the only thing you probably regret there from Paris, the one that you really kind of threw away, was when you backed up the staircase, you used Sound Barrier. When they used Rally, you will take that trade if you were the Spark every time. You just back up to the cart, you still have that armor, they lose all the shields. And then at that point, Gushui can just sit in the corner. Cloudy has to come to him. You see Gosby and Rhea from both sides just working down the shield, working down the shield, working down the shield. So difficult to push up, take that real estate back on the payload.
And it's at this point we need to start considering the possibility of a map 5 with such a strong defensive showing from the Spark. The Spark have played a lot of map 5s over the last few weeks, and they've won most of them. They are very used to going to Control to finish the series. Remember, they won Control on this series as well. They have to be feeling good if they can get there, and the Eternal have to be demoralized after being held in place for so darn long.
And we'll see if Nico decides to stay on the Sombra. Most likely has the translocator in the back of the spawn, just trying to figure out what they're going to run and then decide if you're going to keep running the Sombra or not. Maybe he stays on Sombra, maybe he goes back to D.Va. All depends on what the Spark run on offense. Won't be this. I won't see the Gushui Pharah just yet. Maybe,
I don't think we're ready for that.
maybe save that one for another day. They'll run the Orisa. We get a, okay, is this
a Rhea Torbjorn?
Is this a Torb sighting? All right.
Yep, looks like it's going to be the case.
Why not?
Turret set up here. Makes it a little bit harder for someone like Sun or Nico to flank, but Nico gets put to sleep. Oh, Crystal finds an easy headshot. Oh dear, the Paris Eternal, now they're crunching numbers. How do they deal with this?
I mean, the Rhea just like in front of the shield there, almost gets himself killed. But obviously the Torb turret does not do as much damage as Bastion. Though you can move around though as Torb, right? You have much more of an offense.
No! But you can't do it to him like that!
Yes! You can.
That is so dirty, Rhea!
Oh,
put that away!
Alright, okay.
Put that away!
Put the hammer down, yep. Alright.
Oh my gosh. The Hangzhou Spark now pushing on. Crystal gets taken down by Grey there. Dunyan removing IDK from the situation, but Gushui and Rhea holding down the fort. The rest of the Paris Eternal are a little bit staggered, and Dunyan's waiting to try and get Bebe. It's not showing, so Dunyan instead decides to drop down and commit to the payload. Rhea's taken out. That is a chunky bionic grenade onto 3, and Bebe's able to finish the kill on Dunyan. EMP onto 3 as well. Soon looking to try and get rid of Godsby, but Godsby just gets cloudy and gets out, gets away with murder, and back to spawn. Point blank, Crystal finds the body shot and the finish. He's in a safe position to get extra damage, but that payload has been slowed down here. With Cloudy being resurrected, the Eternal have a little bit more durability, but it may not matter. Headshot onto Nico. Dunyan needs to be very careful. Crystal knows where you are. He can see through those walls and finding another one, finishing off Cloudy with the body shot. Hangzhou get to point A.
So they still stay on the Torb. You know, you're going to have the Torb turret still set up on the cart, but some really nice Widow shots from Danye to even make that possible to be turned there from the Paris Eternal, but Crystal too good at the end, man. I know it's kind of crazy that Godsby used that EMP. You're trying to actually use EMP, take some abilities offline. IDK was coming in to potentially get the res on the Gushui, so he would have been back kind of at full strength, but Paris realizes they kill IDK as soon as he comes around the corner.
Crystal plays a bit more safe for the time being. Danye has activated his infrasight. Crystal is not really interested in opting into a very lopsided sniper battle where his opponent has all the info and he has none of it. EMP though, that was chunky. It's 4 in the back line. And Crystal immediately gets splashed by Cloudy as he brings the pass. He's still moving. And yes, the Eternal are aware of it. They're going to try and double back now when Answer Bebe is down.
Trying to halt them away as they're trying to get the payload on through. IDK's actually used Valkyrie here. They want to keep going.
Baby's back in the fight.
Yep, bring Baby back. He's got a nano boost as well.
Soon now just going to try and dart around the payload. Gushui's gone down, but Crew's also missing Godspeed now.
Nano Torb on the card.
Once more at large. Bebe trying to hide in the corner. Eventually gets spotted out, but Crystal put to sleep here. Rhea will not be stopped. Now with the right clicks on the payload. It's time for the Molten Core. No one can stand. Literally on that ground. But the Eternal get rid of the spark from the edges of it. Not quite the birthday cake that we're looking for, but the spark.
They may have to switch off the torrent now. Yeah.
What do you think about this Soldier 76 from Danye here? He might have to switch to get back. Okay, Godspeed responded.
All right. Just a little touch. So I know Soldier, did get some adjustments recently, so a little bit stronger. Where I think
Increase his damage per bullet by 1. It makes a big difference.
it does make a huge difference. EMP comes in here from Godspeed. You probably, you could consider running the McCree as well, but the EMP comes out from Nico on the other side. It connects at 5 out of 6.
Both of these Sombras are getting a lot of work done. And the Paris Eternal actually starting to find their feet. Bebe just eats a Helix Rocket from Danye. And I don't think IDK is going anywhere. Another Helix Rocket finish from Danye.
So kind of the history with Junkertown is when you can force teams off of these, cheese compositions, right, with a Bastion or the Torbjorn. Like, that's usually where you see teams stall out. 'Cause you have to take 2 or 3 pushes to build up some ultimates. On the other heroes you switch to, you're really changing things up. And it makes it difficult to make any progress after that. If you remember Paris's offense, right? And they switch off the Bastion, they can't get anything going after that. So now it's kind of like on the Spark, right? They've switched things up. Can they get back to the card? Can they get the payload moving again? You can have a attack visor here for Danye to use. Attack visor, nano boost, really good combo.
Especially with the lack of shielding on the Spark here. Goochway is still up. Danye now gets himself that nano boost and no one can really stand to be out in the open against this. Suits Pulse Bomb also connects. And look at Danye just sit on the payload, daring them to challenge. And even the Spark aren't crazy enough to try it.
Is that Bebe uses Coalescence there, just trying to keep everybody alive, to just kind of push on through, just muscle way through the back tunnel. Still not enough though. The attack visor are able to put down enough damage with the nano boost, so you are building up towards Primal Rage here. You're going to build up towards Rally and then another EMP. And I think with the Spark, you're really kind of putting, your game's on the line in terms of can you get a good EMP here. It's really all you got.
Paris could have played aggressively there and got rid of Gooseware for very little cost. They could have just thrown Cloudy in there potentially to slow the Spark down even more. But there's another EMP here from Nico. Yet another. Oh, this is going to be nasty. Huge connection. Everybody on the Hangzhou Spark gets EMP, but they get Nico. Just as he pops out of it now, there needs to be a capitalization. But there is none. The Paris Eternal, the setup was perfect. They couldn't have asked for any more than that. Binding Grenade gets thrown into, Pulse Bomb gets eaten up by Rhea and Danye. It's the saddest tactical visor I've seen in a while. And despite a 6-player EMP to Spark, weather the electrical storm, and now they're on pace to finish the map and win it.
And what happens there is the Spark get EMP, they just go down into the tunnel, and nobody from the Paris Eternal can get down there and really survive long enough to make a play. Godspeed now able to hold on to the EMP, has it to potentially push them over the line. Soon goes over to McCree here. Try and make a difference, maybe get a stun off as he's going for that EMP, but you have EMP, sound barrier, so much available here for the Spark.
We're getting into the back line pretty comfortably to deal with Graver by a grenade, followed up with a flashbang. He's able to deal with the main tank of the Spark. Now Soon and Gray both have a lot of space to do their jobs and do them well. And now with the gate closed, the Hangzhou Spark have to filter through these small hallways.
So ideally what you'd like here is to bait the EMP onto Cloudy, like put Cloudy on the cart. Maybe you have Nico there as well. Bait the EMP out, then use the nano boost to keep them alive on through it.
Going to do it anyway. There's no chance of getting anyone else on the Eternal with that EMP with how split they are. But they have to contest. They have to touch the payload. That was so close. 0.09 meters. Paris almost C9 that in the hugest way possible. Nico getting taken down by the self-destruct. His mech is now no more. Soon, a Deadeye. A Hail Mary one at that. He's holding this one for a long time. No, but he gets nothing! And the Paris Eternal, they play passively away from the payload. Their composition required it. But in order to stop Hangzhou from finishing the map, they had to stand on it. One of those things, not gonna work. Map 5, right around the corner.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.
Quite an energetic audience here at the Allen Event Center, and now we'll be heading to a map 5 in this series. And neither of these teams have lost the map 5 to date.
Yeah, no, both teams undefeated in Game 5s. I can remember the one that we did with the Spark against Boston. They were able to come out on top in that one.
IDK clutching it out with a double boot to finish.
It was such a sick game, and I imagine this series has really delivered, front to back. Later on Junkertown, you actually saw they were able to pull something together after they were forced to switch off the Torbjorn. It's kind of crazy.
You hate to see.
Yeah, you hate to see them switching off the Tor Barissa, but I know they're forced to switch off of it. It's not working out. They actually able to get back onto the payload, keep the progress going. They hold on to that EMP for the end.
It was getting the composition switch from the Eternal was a little bit interesting in that last stage. You could see they wanted to spread out and avoid getting EMP'd, but if your composition wants to spread, you're not going to be very good at getting on the payload and contesting it. Substitution-wise, Shadowburn returns to the roster to sub in from Danye. Looks like they need a break.
So, they did get what they wanted. Before the EMP I was talking about, they wanted Cloudy and Nico to play up on the cart, bait the EMP onto those players. You had the Ana, so you could heal from range. You had Nano. The issue, they both get EMP'd. They get the Nano boost off, exactly what they wanted. The self-destruct, though, comes down from Rhea, and there's no shield, so you kind of got in a situation where they backed off so much they almost ended up taking it. The shield comes back online just in time to be able to get a touch. But it's still, the panic sets in at that moment for Paris, you have to imagine, and not able to hold on.
Just a correction, by the way. These two teams are not undefeated in map 5.
Oh.
So, nice, Captain Planet.
See? Always believe the graphic. We didn't have a graphic.
Yeah, we didn't have a graphic. I
Always
just had
believe the
production
graphic.
telling me that. I really should fact check myself. That's some fake news coming out of the back room. Anyway, Busan is going to be our last map of this series. There will be a winner one way or another. And you see, Lijiang was a very close affair earlier on in the series as well. We should expect quite a brawl here, a fundamental brand of Overwatch. Ultimate economy will be very important over these few maps. Also, the first team to win a fight is going to have a huge advantage.
I mean, on Busan, you can play a lot more damage dealers than, let's say, like Lijiang Tower. Like Lijiang Control Center, you're going to always pretty much play your standard 3-3. Now, the Paris Eternal, they come out with a Reinhardt 3-3, you got the Spark. They're going to do the exact same. It's going to be a mad dash for the center of the point here.
Really crazy between the two teams. You've probably seen this happen a million times before. But again, it's the little things. Look at those health bars. Crystal and Godsby very low. The Eternal should start to shift up a gear now, knowing that the healing resources of the Spark are being heavily taxed. There you go. It's Paris' first map 5. So I guess that.
I mean, technically they are undefeated.
Not
now Lion.
But Hangzhou are the ones that really like to take the map 5 here. They're like this season's Philadelphia Fusion, I guess.
Yeah, right.
But there it is. So that early damage advantage from the Eternal, just connecting with more of those abilities, manifests in Paris being able to slowly churn out a fight win, but they're happy with it being slow.
Yes, they do control the point here first. They allow Soon to build up towards that grab much faster than Godsby. Just how do you attack this if you're the Spark? Do you just kind of run in, maybe try and force some ultimates out, as you get behind Bebe here and try and make a play, as he's going to be trying to throw some ultimates at range. Both ends with Transcendence. See where IDK's playing, maybe trying to get a boot. Move somebody out of the way, allow Gushui to hit the shatter.
It's all about getting on the Cloudy's feet and knock him out of position, but a Soundbarrier came out pretty early from Cruz.
Yeah.
So the Sparks say, okay, we'll fight. We'll go for the Transcendence here. 2 different support ultimates, and that we'll see them probably use in the opposite order. Gray and IDK have support ultimates. But again, health bars. Godsby is very low. He'd love to stay alive and get a grab. But I thought the Eternal would do more with their rally that they just used. Now they go for the grab, the self-destruct. Look at the knockback on Gushui, but they knocked him in the direction away from where the self-destruct was going to be. That ultimate combo doesn't actually do anything at all. Cloudy's in deep trouble here. He is not in a position to protect his team, but soon body blocks with his own personal bubble, and Shadowburn blocked it with his own shield. A 2-for-1 trade though now with Paris. Don't get it nearly as much value out of their ultimates as Hangzhou do.
Yeah, it may not be enough for Paris to be able to hold on to the point, though, as you see Spark push on forward soon. Still alive here, though, as I know IDK coming on forward. Yeah, everybody else coming back from the spawn for Paris. As for the Spark, they end up using like Shatter in grab at the same time. As you saw 2 or 3 players get sucked into the Graviton Surge, Gushui had actually shattered Soon and one other player in the backside, which Usually wouldn't like combo those. You'd like to have, you know, maybe the shatter right after the grab wears off if you're not able to put those players away. But Gushui able to put down enough damage, stay alive long enough to build up towards another shatter. When he's building them this quick, you can use them, you know, however you like.
Soon now trying to wrap around the point. If you can get around Gushui's barrier and charge up this grab as quickly as possible, he'll be very happy. He's got it. He's gonna let it go straight away. But guess what? No one is in there.
Nobody's even close.
Guess what? He's in that one, isn't he? Run over by the Hangzhou Spark, and that is a massive error from the Paris Eternal and a wasted Graviton.
I mean, maybe he was trying to get it around the pole and it clipped the pole, or I'm just trying to defend Soon here in a way because you know, maybe he didn't expect the Spark to back out that quickly. He tried to catch somebody on the pole. Gushui was playing a little bit close there, but still, gotta land those Graviton Surges. It's such a game-changing ultimate in this meta. You can't afford to have one go into the wall like that and then still be behind in terms of charge on the next one.
You've seen that going back to Godspeed in first person is 60% his charge. So definitely something that's deserving of respect here. Self-destruct thrown in by NiKo right behind Gushui, forced him to turn his shield, but the Eternal don't do a whole lot with that. Unclear as to what kind of combo Paris were trying to create there. Regardless, it didn't work. And now they need to play behind these pillars because the Spark are in control of the point, and that control is continuing to tick up now. 85 to 76. The Eternal realize they need to get them off the point now, but they don't have the players nor the resources to stage a retake.
The Transcendence use here from Gray, it's a little bit late, but probably needed to use it anyway because you would not get another fight. NiKo over the top, just trying to get a touch here. Keep this one going. Can't get to the point. The Spark will take our first stage, but they use that Transcendence maybe a half second earlier, you're able to keep Soon alive, you get some players back. You never know what happens in that situation, but the Spark, really good there at the beginning. I think it's the Zarya play, really make a difference here.
And this is what we talked about before the game started, Matt. This was the matchup that the Spark wanted to try and leverage. The Zarya, Godspeed versus Soon head-to-head.
Yeah, you know, Godspeed right now, 14 elims, 3 final blows, 0 deaths. To Soon's 2 elims, 0 final blows, 3 deaths. Right now, Godspeed leading in damage, you know, 5960 to
about
4700. Yeah, I mean, about 2k extra damage. So, really strong game from Godspeed on that first point. You're gonna need an answer back soon if you're gonna stay alive.
And it has to be here. Hangzhou take the first round of Busan. And they're looking to get the job done.
They
so it's gonna be wrecking ball.
Yeah, they play the Chengdu Hunters version of the 3-3.
Cruz finding the pick on Godspeed there. Clearly, Gushui wasn't able to keep him shielded up. And Cloudy eventually goes down, and without NiKo's net, there is no durability right now for Paris.
Yeah, and I mean, what you do if you're the Spark is you push on forward, you take control of this choke, maybe have one player go down, cap the point. That player will be Rhea. He said him to the point. Take control of this very important choke point, so there's the point in favor of the Spark. Now, Cloudy forced off of Wrecking Ball. Over to Reinhardt here. It's going to be so difficult to get through this choke. You're going to have a big advantage in terms of energy here for the Spark on the Zarya, and in terms of ultimate for the Reinhardt. If they choose not to go through the main choke, they're going to wrap around, try and get a fight.
Looks like they're fair, not much better at all in this fight. They try and maybe charge forward. Rhea throwing a self-destruct behind the Eternal, threw them into absolute pandemonium, man. They couldn't get set up. Cloudy had to shield either one way, forwards or backwards. The Eternal didn't really have the coverage that they were looking for. Gushui's had a very, very good map. In fact, his last couple of maps have been excellent. Right now on the right hand, only 2 deaths to his name on Busan. So you must connect his grab now. It needs to be big. You're a little bit ahead of Godspeed in charge. You need to make use of it right now. Gushui gets bashed. You see what Soon's trying to do. He realizes that, well, there's no D.Va home, so he's into the Graviton Surge. It will be the customary Transcendence. Oh, the shield was out! The shield was out! Just as Cloudy's shield got broken, man. The timing was perfect for Gushui. He's picked it so well, and the Hangzhou Spark have got a huge lead in this fight.
And you hold on to your grab if you're the Spark. That is a huge shatter with some setup there from Crystal. As now you're just one fight. Godspeed can play the corner here.
There was nothing that Cloudy could have done. Not a thing. They get grabbed. Everyone all in the corner. Earthshatter coming out. What a big shatter. 4 for Cloud and try and slow down the spark, and it was a perfect response at the latest possible moment. The Paris Eternal, thanks to Cloudy, get themselves out of what would have been a lost round, a lost map, a lost series, right at the last moment. Stunning shatter.
You got to make it down, 99-0 though. I mean, we do see these things turn though. You can start to build up some ultimates. You know, 99, that was a 0. It's not very uncommon. I mean, you build up 1 or 2 fights go your way, and you're right there, 99-99.
I mean, Hangzhou are a team that always does that. They start from behind on these maps quite often, especially against Boston in that epic 5-map series a couple weeks back. They're no stranger to it.
The Eternal beat them to the choke, but they're forced back out.
Godsby split off on that one side though. He's very low. He's not going to get the killing he needs in time. The Eternal just going to lean into this now. With the Graviton, IDK gets his head knocked off by one of those orbs, and Baby feels pretty bad about transcendencing in that kind of fight.
And they almost slipped the point behind them though. You see how close the Spark were. The Rhea on the point to be able to flip it, so.
Got to keep him honest, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, you use Transcendence there, you don't even keep IDK alive, as he was a little bit further out. They just took way too much poke going through that choke. They got to go faster.
Just fast enough for you. They pushed it right now. The Paris Eternal turn around with the Transcendence here, and Hangzhou got to be happy with that. They trade in a rally, they force out a Transcendence. One of Paris' huge ults, and one of the things they needed to answer this grab right here. Godsby lays it straight on in, the self-destruct from behind here for the Paris Eternal. The barriers come up at just the right time, but Gushue still walks out in the open. He gets caught. Gray follows up on the kill, but Godsby is on the high ground, getting good damage done. It looks like Hangzhou, though, are content to reset and go for one more.
Just like I was talking about, one fight. You go from 0 to pretty much 99-99 real quick. It's a shatter from Cloudy again. He had the big defensive one when they were stuck in the grab to just take the point. That time keeps him alive as well. Scouting here from Nico, gonna figure out where they're going.
Paris need this grab. They need it really badly. Gushue could enter right here with the proper shatter. This could be the last fight of the series, and it's time to get it started. Sound barrier for the Hangzhou Spark, and Soon has that grab. But where do you use it? He waits out IDK's sound barrier. But Baby has his Transcendence now. He may have lost his window of opportunity. The Transcendence comes out early though. Soon's gonna sit and wait. Oh no! Rhea! He's eaten the grab! And now the Paris Eternal are out of options. Cruz gets stunned up there, and once more, a failed grab is going to cost the Eternal a heck of a lot. Godsby is charged up, he's close to a grab of his own now. He's going to chase Soon down and make him rue every moment. He has to sit on that point alone. Another map 5 win for the Hangzhou Spark. They keep doing it. But it may have been given to them on this occasion. You've got to be feeling that one in the morning. And for the Paris Eternal, you had it in the palm of your hand. And an Eaton grab, Rhea ruins the Eternals' day.
Oh, they needed that Eaton grab so bad. I mean, Soon lands that ultimate. That is a point win for Paris, and they know it.
That hurts. The first map 5, they can't be happy with that one at all. Again, you can see the looks on their faces. They realize just how close they were. Paris would have had to play another stage of control, but realistically, they would never have wanted the series to get to that point. They had to close things out on Junkertown. They knew that Hangzhou were veterans of the map 5 meta, as it were. And have a look at this. Oh, I love this. Look at the sportsmanship from Gushue and Soon. And exchange of jerseys right here in front of everybody. The first time I've seen that in the Overwatch League.
That's a nice moment. It's a tough loss for Soon, but see, back in the LA arena, you have all the fans really getting behind him. He was part of the Valley, and still carries over to Paris, and you come here to Dallas, right? The fans always show up for Soon. One of the most loved players in the league.
The Hangzhou Spark do it again. Eventually, you want to hope that they can clean up a series pretty comfortably, but now we're going to head down to the floor. Emily has an interview with us with Gushue.
Hey guys, thank you so much. How clutch is the Spark? They've never lost a 5th map before. Can I get some love for the Spark? Yes! So, how did you guys perform so well under pressure? I mean, is it always when it comes down to the 5th map, Gushue? 你们从来都没有输过第5张地图，是不是压力大的时候你们发挥更好？
我们大家的心态都很好，都不放弃，毅力都很好，坚持到最后的。
Our mindset was always really positive. We never gave up, and that's how we pulled off the win. Now, you guys are facing Seoul next week, which is going to be a really pivotal match for you guys as you make the run for stage playoffs. How are you guys feeling about Seoul? 那么下个礼拜你们要面对首尔，感觉怎么样？心里有把握吗？
我觉得我们能赢下首尔，然后进行阶段赛的。
I believe we can win against Seoul, and we're going to do our best for the remainder of this season. All right, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Guxue. Back to you guys, Mitch and Matt.
Matt, we keep getting the goods from this team.
Yeah.
The Hangzhou Spark give us always exciting matches. Here's our own by HP player of the match. Guxue absolutely dominated in this series. We saw some good moments from Cloudy earlier on, but as the series went on, Guxue had some very impactful moments. The Reinhardt play, there was a lot of shatters here just being thrown into shields left and right, but big part of why Hangzhou were able to take this away.
I mean, it's almost wild to go back and look at some of their footage from earlier in the season when they were rotating him and No Smite out. And now that you see Guxue getting all that play time, you start to see Crystal in the mix more, that the Spark have really gone on a run is 45,000 hero damage on the Reinhardt, 31 final blows. Also played a tremendous Winston throughout the series. I think Guxue definitely, as the stage has gone on, as the season has gone on, more playing time, just looks so much more comfortable, looking like the World Cup Guxue.
Guxue's been very ready to charge on Reinhardt over this match. He's actually got a lot of his kills as a result of that one, where most players are sort of, they identify it as being too much of a risky maneuver here. But here's our Stage 2 standings now as a result of this match. And Hangzhou Spark, they have snuck their way into that top 8 pretty comfortably at 4-2. Yes, the map differential is less than ideal, but Matt, they just keep winning all their games. By the way, the map differential being a result of them always going to map 5. But still, having 5 wins, if they get another win here against Seoul, I mean, they are pretty comfortable. There's not much chance of them getting booted out.
I mean, that Seoul match is going to be huge. Seoul Dynasty right now is sitting at 2-2. I know they do have one more match. I know they play the Valiant today, so you think, maybe if they get to 3-2, right? I mean, that could be a huge match that could determine whether one of those teams make the Stage 2 playoffs or not.
Seoul having to go up against Vancouver is not going to make their life easier later on in this stage, but you can see how cut and dry it is for some of these teams up at the top of the stage. It's been a fantastic match, this one here. We've got much more to come. Coming up next, the London Spitfire go up against the Chengdu Hunters. That is a match that is guaranteed to entertain you. You do not want to go anywhere. You're stuck in here with me anyway. We'll see you guys after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota, official North American partner of the Overwatch League. Toyota, let's go places.
Hey, man, what's up?
You need anything for today?
Nah, man, I think I'm set.
Big day today, man?
Yeah, huge. Let's play some Overwatch.